Chapter 1. A majestic autumn tiger was still patrolling the world. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the scorching sun shone on the thick and dark surface of the huge stadium, covering it with a layer of golden straw rain cape. Above the main entrance of the stadium, there were a few big black glowing words with its own name written on it. Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Looking at these words and the young men and women pouring into the stadium from afar, Lu Qing felt a vigorous and high-spirited spirit. However, he who was supposed to belong to this group swallowed his saliva in fear. It seemed that he was feeling some kind of homesickness. Of course, martial arts was not his hometown, and the club was not his home. He couldn't help but look at his roommate, Kai Zongming, as if he was looking for some psychological comfort. They met when they first entered the university, but they were birds of a feather. After military training and course selection, they quickly became bad friends who were good at hurting each other. Kai Zongming was half a head taller than Lu Qing, more than 1.8 meters tall. Not only was he tall and straight, but Lu Qing had to admit that he was really handsome. He could almost be described as sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes in novels. Besides, he came from a good family and dressed very tastefully. The only problem was that he was too talkative. "Qing, why are you so nervous?" Kai Zongming put his hands in the pockets of his beige slacks and noticed Lu Qing's abnormality. "It's just the martial arts club's orientation party. Many people don't come. Look at old Xiao. He signed up before us, but he also went to study by himself. It's not an exam. Why are you so nervous?" Lu Qing thought for a while and felt that he still needed some advice, so he chose his words carefully and said, "Casanova, do you remember the girl when we signed up?" This guy claimed to have dated many girlfriends. He was very experienced and was especially good at talking nonsense. Everyone in the dormitory called him Casanova. He should be the right person to ask for help in this aspect. Yes. How could I not remember? I've been in the university for more than a month, and I've only met 2 or 3 girls with such quality. If I didn't have a true love, I would have hit on her. Kai Zongming glanced at Lu Qing and laughed. "What? You like her? You want to pursue her? At first glance I thought you were a boring and honest guy. I didn't expect you to be such a person." Lu Qing hurriedly explained, "Actually, I've known her for a long time. She was in the class next to mine in high school. Every time there was a broadcast of martial arts exercises, we were right next to each other. She was in the rightmost column of her class and I was in the leftmost column of mine." "Understood. You know her, but does she know you?" Kai Zongming held back his laughter. The corner of Lu Qing's mouth twitched as he glared at Kai Zongming. After a long while, he said in a muffled voice, "I don't know him, I understand. Who hasn't had a crush before?" Kai Zongming stopped mocking him and said, "No wonder you dragged me to sign up for the martial arts club. I thought you saw through my disguise of a hidden master." "Bah, just an amateur 5th pin? What kind of hidden master are you talking about?" Lu Qing couldn't help but retort. In today's world, martial arts had a long history. It was neither a legend nor an illusion. It had existed thousands of years ago and continued into modern times. After decades of confrontation with technology, it had to change the old ideas and traditions. It had thoroughly integrated into all aspects of society. The ranks of martial arts had also been dyed with modern colors. A special ranking event was held by the Martial Arts Association. The first pin was the highest and the 9th pin was the entry level. Beyond the entry level there were also amateurs. Therefore there were amateur 1st pin to 9th pin. Although they were only amateurs, they were more than enough to beat ordinary people. Kai Zongming clicked his tongue and said, "Someone doesn't seem to be even an amateur 9th pin. According to the theory of relativity, isn't it all relative? How about I give you a handicap with one hand?" "Get lost," Lu Qing answered concisely. Then he took a light breath and strolled forward. As he walked he said, "She was quite famous in high school, so I knew she liked martial arts. What's more, I didn't expect that we would both be admitted to Songqing University. At that time I just thought it was fate. I was excited and a little nervous, so I dragged you to sign up, hoping to have a chance to meet her." "Yes, that's normal." Kai Zongming walked a few steps and suddenly laughed. "Look Qing, look. Isn't that your goddess?" Lu Qing's heart skipped a beat. He followed Kai Zongming's gaze and saw 9 steps outside the main entrance of the martial arts club. On the steps stood a girl in a red and white traditional Chinese costume. Her face was the size of a palm, and her facial features were exquisite. Intuitively, she gave the impression that she was delicate and lively, very much like a girl from the Jiangnan River village. It was Yan Zhika, the girl he had been thinking about. Yes, her mother is from Jiangnan. Lu Qing stared blankly. This was the first time he saw Yanjika in traditional Chinese costume. It was quite amazing. Why is she a greeter for the martial arts club? Lu Qing came back to himself and asked in confusion. She was a new student like him, and today was the orientation day. Kai Zongming laughed. That's easy. If I were a senior in the martial arts club, I would definitely contact her in advance and communicate with her. Even if I couldn't make her my girlfriend, it would be good to use her as the martial arts club's signboard. Unlike a rough man like you, what's the use of her? You're talking as if you're not. Lu Qing retorted. I'm not. I'm a master of amateur fifth pin, the future pillar of the martial arts club. Kai Zongming paused. Normally they should have contacted me in advance. Amateur fifth pin is not a common thing in the Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Could it be that the quality of our freshmen is so high? Apart from the legendary Lin Kei, there are many amateur third or fourth pin fighters. Lu Qing listened to Kai Zongming's nagging while quietly looking at Yanjika. She stood on the edge of the steps and attracted everyone's attention. Like a star in the spotlight, she was so bright, so outstanding, and so brilliant that it made people feel ashamed of their inferiority. Forget it. Let's get down to business. Qing, here's your chance. Kai Zongming finished his soliloquy. Lu Qing turned to him blankly. What chance? A chance to strike up a conversation. A chance to flirt. Kai Zongming said with disappointment. Strike up a conversation? Lu Qing looked at Yanjika in the distance and stuttered. Meh. He had never struck up a conversation before. He flinched at the thought of it. Besides, would it work? Kai Zongming shook his head. The success rate of striking up a conversation mainly depends on your face and eloquence. But if you don't even dare to strike up a conversation, you'll never have the chance. Besides, most girls look down on cowardly men like you. What kind of love is that if you don't even have the courage to strike up a conversation? Besides, I've analyzed it. You have a good chance. She won't even think you're striking up a conversation. Why? Lu Qing was suddenly interested. Have you gone crazy from having a crush on her? You're from the same hometown and classmate. What a good relationship. In a foreign land, far away from acquaintances, your hometown and classmate are the best targets to get rid of singlehood. Kai Zongming said eloquently. Think about it. A girl, far away from home, studying thousands of miles away, surrounded by strangers, must be at the most insecure time. She will subconsciously get close to acquaintances. As the saying goes, when people from the same hometown meet people from the same hometown, they'll cry. Besides, you used to be in the same grade in the same school, so you can talk about a lot of topics and feel close to each other. You can pretend to meet her and recognize her by chance. There's a 90% chance that you can get her QQ number or mobile phone number. Well, it's not suitable to go too deep for the first time. It'll make her feel uneasy. It's best to stop when you get her QQ number. Lu Qing listened carefully. His heart was beating fast and he was eager to try. Casanova's words seemed to make sense. After thinking about it for a while, he hesitated. But I'm just an ordinary person. How can I be good enough for her? I don't know if I can give her a life worthy of her in the future. Or not. This was what he meant by feeling ashamed of his inferiority. Kai Zongming was stunned. After a long time he said, Qing, don't you think too much? You haven't even met her yet and you're already thinking about your future life after marriage? You're so imaginative. After that, he didn't wait for Lu Qing to think more and continued to persuade him. Qing, to put it nicely, you have a sense of responsibility and self-awareness. To put it bluntly, you're a coward and have no self-confidence. We're only freshmen and our school is one of the best in the country. Our major is not bad. If we study hard for 4 years, we'll find a good job after graduation. You don't even have this little bit of self-confidence? Or you don't want to work hard at all? If you like her, you should improve yourself for her. For her, you should force yourself. For her, you should squeeze out your potential. This is called a sense of responsibility. Otherwise, you just like the feeling of touching yourself. Nothing is afraid of seriousness. Lu Qing looked at Kai Zongming in astonishment. He didn't expect this guy to say something so reasonable. Kai Zongming changed the topic and waved his fist. Besides, you haven't even started dating yet. It's hard to say if you can catch up with her. I don't think there's much hope. Go ahead, Qing. Don't leave any regrets. At least you've tried. Youth didn't fail. Young people don't have to worry about anything. After being provoked by Kai Zongming, Lu Qing was also young and vigorous. He suppressed his hesitation and concerns and nodded heavily. I'll try. Well, youth didn't fail. After that, he looked at Yanjika in the distance. Looking at the beautiful figure in red and white, He gathered his courage and was about to walk over. At this moment, Kai Zongming suddenly pulled him back. What's wrong? Lu Qing felt his blood rushing to his head. Kai Zongming bared his teeth. Qing, you're too impatient. Touch your face. It's as red as a monkey's butt. She can tell you're up to no good. Hurry up and buy a bottle of ice water to cover your face. Damn, Casanova. You're so experienced. Lu Qing touched his face. It was indeed burning hot. He almost stuttered when he spoke. This is so King exciting. Thinking of this, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration and started running. Instead of running to the grand venue of the martial arts club, he ran in the opposite direction. Soon he was 100 meters away. Then he turned around and ran back. When he passed by Kai Zongming, he was already panting. Kai Zongming had been looking at him blankly. Only now did he understand. He gave a thumbs up. I'm convinced. Wouldn't the blush after running cover up the original blush? Lu Qing's heart beat faster because of the exercise, but his feet were a little sluggish. He was still a little timid, but soon he calmed down. He passed by Kai Zongming and secretly clenched his fist. Well, at least I tried. While encouraging himself, he strode towards the venue and the beautiful figure in red and white. Looking at his back, Kai Zongming hurriedly said, Don't talk too much. You're not familiar with each other. It's easy to be embarrassed if you talk too much. Leave a good impression first to lay the foundation for the future. Lu Qing waved his hand to show that he had heard. He didn't slow down his pace. He wanted to finish in one go. So this is youth. Under a nearby tree, an old man in his 70s or 80s with white hair clicked his tongue as he looked at Lu Qing's figure. For a moment, he sighed with emotion. Back then I was also young like this. Who didn't have youth? Chapter 2. Although it was said to be far away, it was actually not that far. After running for a short while, Lu Qing arrived at the front of the martial arts arena and climbed up the 9 steps. His heart was thumping and his cheeks were burning. He didn't know if it was because of the long run or because of the upcoming conversation. He had rehearsed all kinds of developments in his mind. At this time he was panting and silently clenching his fists, encouraging himself. What are you afraid of? Don't be a coward if you are a man. After a few seconds of internal drama, Lu Qing slowed down his pace. His eyes seemed to come in contact with Yan Zhika, who was beautiful and dignified under the contrast of the red and white traditional Chinese clothing. It was as if he was passing by all the miscellaneous people. But just as he was about to pass by her, he suddenly stopped and said in surprise, Are you from Xioshan No. 1 Middle School? Yan Zhika was stunned for a moment as if she didn't hear him clearly. But soon she came back to herself, and her 2 soft black thin eyebrows stretched. Yes, and you are? Lu Qing's heart was beating like a drum. His face was full of smiles, but he was still panting. I'm from class 4. Every time we do radio exercises, I'm in the row next to you. Well, a few seats behind you. I didn't expect you to be admitted to Songqing University. Yan Zhika suddenly understood. Although she obviously didn't know Lu Qing, she seemed to have let down her guard a lot. 2 shallow dimples appeared on her cheeks. I haven't heard of other people entering Songqing University. I thought I was the only one. Lu Qing thought of Kai Zongming's teaching and resisted the urge to scratch the back of his head. He said self-mockingly, I'm a low-key person. I'm not familiar with other students. Yan Zhika's smile was so beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off her. Yan Zhika maintained her smile without any reluctance. She seemed to be happy from the bottom of her heart. What's your name? Maybe I've heard of you. Qing Tao from class 4 often comes to our class. Her voice was soft but not shy, as if her voice had always been like this. Qing Tao. Every time he lent me his homework to copy. I'm Lu Qing. You probably haven't heard of me. I'm just a nobody. But I know your name, Yan Zhika. You are very famous in our grade and in our school. Well, you are good at studying and have a good personality. Everyone thought you would go to the capital or Huahai, but you went to Songqing. Yan Zhika pursed her lips and turned her head to the side. Her dimples were even more obvious when she was complimented in front of her face. If I made a mistake in the college entrance exam and got into Songqing University with a difference of more than 10 marks, your words would have offended me severely. Damn, it's true. I didn't think before I spoke. Luckily, Yan Zhika didn't come to Songqing University because she made a mistake in the college entrance examination. Lu Qing was shocked and felt a little scared. He almost said, she's beautiful, good at studying, and has a good personality. But he thought it would be too frivolous to praise her in their first conversation, so he forced himself to hold back. No wonder Casanova didn't want me to talk too much, as expected of Casanova. Thinking of Kai Zongming's warning, Lu Qing hurriedly said, "If a famous person like you makes a mistake in the college entrance examination, the news will definitely spread throughout our grade. There are more and more people. I'll go in first and not disturb you." Okay. Yen Zhika answered briskly. Lu Qing secretly took a breath and opened his mouth again. He pretended to ask casually, "By the way, what's your QQ number? It seems that there are a few classmates in our grade who also came to Songqing. Maybe we can have a chance to meet up." After saying this, he held his breath and his heart seemed to stop beating. The last sentence was just an excuse. The real reason was that he wanted her QQ number. Yen Zhika didn't hesitate. She smiled and pointed at the red string around her neck. "It's not convenient for me to use my phone in this outfit. You can write down my QQ number first and I'll add you later. Remember to note it as Lu Qing from class 4 of number 1 middle school. I don't add unfamiliar numbers. My QQ number is XXXXX. Okay." Lu Qing was ecstatic and almost couldn't hold back. He silently recited the number and took out his phone from the left pocket of his jeans. He logged into QQ and chose to search. He almost laughed when he saw the name. Is it Tantai Tsuehua? The style of this name is simply too weird. Yen Zhika's appearance on the internet is very different from her appearance in real life. Yen Zhika's eyes curved and she said with an obvious smile, "Yes, don't you think this name is very down-to-earth?" She paused and said, "You don't know that joke? Is it the joke that destroys high and mighty compound surnames?" Although Lu Qing didn't know, this style was too obvious. He could roughly guess it just by guessing. Murong, Huangfu, Shangguan, Zhuge, Tantai, these compound surnames were very special. They felt high and mighty. If they were used with a good name, they would be used in romance novels and TV series for the main characters or supporting characters. But if they were used with a local name, it would make people laugh. Even if they weren't local, a relatively contemporary name would have the same effect. For example, Murong Jianjun, Huangfu Sufan, Shangguan Weigua, etc. Yen Zhika's eyes were smiling. "Yes, don't you think it's very interesting?" "It's very interesting. Should I change my QQ name to Zhuge Ergu?" Lu Qing felt that he had a good chat with Yen Zhika and almost wanted to continue chatting like this. But suddenly there was a cough behind him. Classmate Kai Zongming had come to the side. Lu Qing restrained his impulse and waved to Yen Zhika. "My friend is here. I'll go in first. Bye-bye." "Bye-bye." Yen Zhika waved her hand to attract the attention of others. Lu Qing turned around and pretended not to hesitate to come to Kai Zongming's side. His face was full of unconcealable joy. "Not bad. I thought you would stutter when you speak. You do have potential." Kai Zongming walked a few steps and entered the gate. The noisy crowd rushed to his face. If he didn't lower his voice, he wouldn't be afraid of being heard by others. The center of the martial arts gym was divided into two halves. One half was set up as an arena the size of a basketball court. There were rows and rows of seats in the front and back. The other half was directly connected to the arena, the size of 4 or 5 basketball courts. All kinds of equipment were arranged around the arena. At first glance, it was obvious that this place was used for martial arts practice. But now it was used as a welcome party. It was crowded and bustling, much more than what Lu Qing had imagined. "Isn't this forcing?" Lu Qing said with a smile. "There are so many people in the martial arts club." "Of course. The martial arts competition is the most popular competition in the world. The strong martial artists are the most popular people in the world. Of course, the martial arts club of each university is the biggest club." Kai Zongming straightened his back, showing the demeanor of a hidden master. In the end he gossiped. "Did you get his QQ number?" There was no first place in literature and no second place in martial arts. After years of peace, there were more and more fights between martial artists. Their strength beyond the limits of the human body made the audience excited and excited. They imagined that they could be so strong and powerful. They were no longer afraid of the weak and weak. Later, after the media and the entertainment circle intervened, there was a formal martial arts competition. This kind of martial arts competition was divided into two types. The first type was derived from the original competition between sections. Sects, martial arts clubs, and martial arts clubs participated in a collective competition to determine the strongest force and the strongest inheritance. The second type was a competition between individuals to compete for the title of the first. The former was the professional martial arts competition that was currently popular throughout the country. It was divided into 4 levels, and the highest level belonged to the 12 forces that dominated the martial arts in the country. For them, The greatest humiliation was to be at the end of the competition and be beaten down to the next level. That was simply a great humiliation. The second type currently had 5 national individual challenge tournaments, also known as title tournaments. Once one won the challenge tournament, he would get the corresponding title and be recognized as one of the strongest in the country. For example, after winning the Battle of Warrior Sage, he would be able to monopolize the title of Warrior Sage in the following year. Therefore, there was a saying that above the first pin, there was a title. The commercial income of such a competition was very high, which made all the major forces and martial arts masters earn a lot of money. Not only did it bring honor, but it also brought a huge amount of wealth and fans. The influence of the competition was also far-reaching. Even the universities could not escape from it. With products like the National University Martial Arts Competition, the martial arts clubs of all the universities flourished. Did you get his QQ number? Lu Qing couldn't help but smile. Of course. Casanova, what should we do next? What else can we do? Find a topic to talk about, get closer to each other, understand each other's preferences, and then find an opportunity to ask him out. You're classmates, so it shouldn't be difficult to find a topic. Kai Zongming looked at Lu Cheng with contempt and joked. If you don't understand, give me your QQ number and I'll help you. Get lost. Lu Cheng said concisely and then sighed. It's really different to be guided by an experienced person. Of course, I've had many girlfriends. Kai Zongming smiled complacently. Lu Cheng had been suppressed for a long time today. At this time he looked at Kai Zongming, curled his lips and said, "How old are you? 18? What's wrong? Can't I have had many girlfriends? I had my first love when I was in the 3rd grade of primary school." Kai Zongming said with a look of, "How dare you question my strength? No, what I mean is, you've had so many girlfriends but all of them broke up with you. The problem must be you." While speaking, Lu Qing deliberately sized him up and down. Between his expression, there was a look of realization. Kai Zongming's face suddenly froze and then he said in a bad mood, "Can't we have a good chat?" Then he explained casually, "Some of them are pen pals. They get along quickly but they also get cold quickly. They break up after a while because of some things. Some of them transfer schools and I can't do anything about it. Some of them have really different personalities. Isn't there a song that says, 'Love is always easy but it's hard to get along'? In short, I'm not a fickle person. Now that I've reined in myself, if you see my girlfriend in the future, don't say things like, fickle, or love saint. Speaking of which, can't you give me a nicer nickname? Casanova sounds terrible. Don't call me that." "Okay, little Ming." Lu Qing answered with a smile. Kai Zongming was stunned. He sighed and said, "Let's call you Casanova." "Yes, little Ming." Lu Qing was in a good mood now that he had won a round. Maybe it was because everything had its vanquisher. Little Ming valued his current girlfriend very much, just like how Lu Qing valued Yan Zhika. Kai Zongming was so angry that he laughed. "Qing, actually we shouldn't have joined the martial arts club. We should have joined the crosstalk club. I'm sure we'll be popular with your support." Just as he finished speaking, there was a sudden noise at the door. "Lin Kei is here." "Lin Kei." Along with the noise, the crowd rushed to the door. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming looked at each other with excitement and curiosity. They followed the crowd and squeezed through. There was a rumor in the school that this year there was a genius fighter who had successfully reached the professional 9th pin at the age of 18. He had just entered the martial arts club and was better than most of the disciples of sects and martial arts schools. Such a genius fighter actually chose to enter the university instead of the invitation and training from sects, martial arts clubs and martial arts clubs. In the whole university circle, there was not only one professional 9th pin fighter who entered the university, but most of them were from traditional martial arts schools. This was the first time in the history of Songqing University. And this genius martial artist was Lin Kei. Chapter 3. Fortunately, Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming had just entered the gym and were not far from the door, so they could barely see 2 figures coming in from the door. One of them had a slicked-back hairstyle, sagging cheeks, wrinkles at the corners of his eyes and steady steps. He seemed to be the instructor of the martial arts club, also known as the coach. He looked around with a serious expression, and only showed some joy and gentleness when he looked at the people around him. The one beside him was taller than him by more than half a head, with a crew cut and a slender figure. He wore a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt, looking fresh and clean. He carried a bulging black sports bag on his back. He must be the legendary Lin Kei. Lu Qing thought to himself. Lin Kei was like a silencer, quickly dispelling the noise in the stadium. Facing the curious, scrutinizing, gossiping, excited, and admiring gazes, he kept a cold expression, pursed his lips, and looked straight ahead, minding his own business. Even when the instructor beside him introduced him in a low voice, he just nodded slightly without saying a word. With the instructor leading the way, he passed through the crowd like a star and entered the martial arts club's locker room. It wasn't until his figure disappeared that the crowd suddenly broke the short silence and burst into a flurry of discussions. So cool. There are really handsome guys in the martial arts club. He's stylish and has character. This was the discussion of the girls. What's with the arrogance? Capable people always have a temper. If I had his skills and could reach the professional ninth pin, I would also be so arrogant. Our martial arts club is going to rise to the top. Yeah, we'll sweep all the schools in the Guanan Inland Sea. Let's see how they can show off. With his guidance, we might be able to reach the amateur 5th or 6th pin by the time we graduate. It'll be easier for us to find a job. This was the discussion of the boys. The moment Lu Qing withdrew his gaze, he glanced at the door and was surprised to see Yanjika standing there in a red and white Han suit. Her expression and eyes were exactly the same as the girls nearby. Ah, I'm so envious, jealous, and hateful. Lu Qing couldn't help but say to Kai Zongming, if only I could reach the professional 9th pin and get such treatment. Kai Zongming clicked his tongue and said, you need to use references at times like this. Only then can you show that you are cultured. Actually, this is how a real man should be. That's how a real man should be. Lu Qing chewed on the words a few times and stole a glance at Yanjika, who was standing by the door. He teased Kai Zongming, are you going to say, I can replace you? You know me well, Qing. Kai Zongming laughed as he raised his arms and clenched his fists to show off his muscles. I'm already of amateur 5th pin even though I've been slacking. What can I do when I'm serious? Believe it or not, I'll become a professional 9th pin fighter in no time and take back the most handsome male member of the martial arts club. You've been slacking for 3 days and then drying the net for 2 days. How can you say that with such pride? Lu Qing and Kai Zongming were teasing each other. After a while, Yanjika came in through the door and went to the female locker room. The orientation started on time. Lu Qing saw the lights turn on and a tall and strong man with a stocky back and a bare waist walked up to the ring. Everyone, I'm Qin Jianghua, the president of the martial arts club. I'm your senior in the senior year. The stocky figure was wearing a black martial arts suit, which made him look tough and neat. At this moment he was holding the microphone and introducing himself with a smile. His fierce face seemed to have softened. Haha, look at his eyebrows. They remind me of a song, insects fly, insects fly. While Qin Jianghua was giving his speech, Kai Zongming chuckled and said to Lu Qing. Lu Qing glanced at him and said, Casanova, you should really join the Crosstalk Society. You can't waste your talent. The two's whispers didn't affect Qin Jianghua at all. He continued his introduction. The realm of martial arts is divided into 4 levels: body, chi, aura, and restriction. This is common knowledge that everyone knows. We won't talk about the last 2 today, as they aren't something that amateurs like us can come into contact with. I'll focus on body and chi. Body means to refine the body, and refine means to refine our body just like how we refine pills or forge weapons. This requires a combination of many aspects, not just a simple stance or a strength training room. I'm talking about this to tell you that it's okay if you haven't been in contact with formal martial arts practice before. After today you can make up for this problem. Songqing University Martial Arts Club has a long history. Body refining is an orthodox tradition. It's definitely not comparable to the martial arts clubs or gyms outside. As long as you can persevere in practice for 4 years, it's more than enough for you to reach amateur 4th or 5th pin. Then you can easily go to the martial arts club or the gym as a coach. It's another way to get to professional 9th pin. If some of you are really passionate about martial arts, after 4 years of hard practice, you may be able to pass the ranking event and reach professional 9th pin. I'm not a talented person, but I can endure hardships. Last year I reached amateur 1st pin. This year I'm planning to participate in the ranking event. Therefore, professional 9th pin is not out of reach for us in Songqing Martial Arts Club. As long as you work hard and put your mind to it, it's possible. Of course, if you're really talented, it's not impossible to break through the bottleneck from body refining to Dan Qi. Shanbei University has such geniuses. Every time we meet them, we suffer so much that we can't compete with them. As he listened, Lu Qing frowned and looked at Kai Zongming beside him. Shanbei University was the champion of last year's university martial arts competition, right? Yes. Kai Zongming nodded. Lu Qing hesitated and said, "Why does Qin Zhanghua's word sound weird?" It seemed that he was hinting at someone. Of course it's weird. His words can be summarized into 2 sentences. First, professional ninth pin is nothing. Lin K is nothing. Kai Zongming laughed. Second, our martial arts club's poor performance is not because we don't live up to expectations. It's because our opponents in the same division are too strong. Lu Qing confirmed his guess and couldn't help but shake his head. It seems that Qin Zhanghua, the president of the martial arts club, is not convinced by Lin Quebec. But it's too low of him to say so directly. Who cares? They can do whatever they want. What does it have to do with us? Kai Zongming took out his phone, bored. After a while, Qin Zhanghua finally finished his long-winded speech and said with a smile, "Come, let me introduce you to the senior brothers and sisters of the martial arts club. They have all participated in the ranking event. The weakest one is of amateur 6th pin." Lu Qing was about to look up and take a closer look when Kai Zongming suddenly pulled on his clothes. "Let's go back," Kai Zongming said in a low voice. Lu Qing said in surprise, "Just like that? It's still early. Are you still waiting to meet the senior brothers and sisters? Wake up, you're just here to chase girls. Do you think you're a rare genius who suddenly became enlightened at the age of 18 without any foundation? Then your martial arts improved so fast that you beat all the senior brothers and sisters? Then you represented Songqing University in the National Martial Arts Competition and won the championship? Then you'll be chosen by the first-tier forces and get promoted, get a raise, marry a fair, rich and beautiful woman, and become a strong man of the generation and walk to the peak of life?" Kai Zongming was worthy of the title of bad friend. Lu Qing laughed dryly. "Since we're here, we should at least take a look." Kai Zongming looked around and said, "Since you're just here to fool around and chase girls, why does it matter if you don't know the senior brothers and sisters? Anyway, I can also teach you." Speaking of this, he lowered his voice and said, "If you leave now, you'll have something to talk to your goddess about later." Lu Qing was confused. "Think about it, if you leave early with an excuse that you have something to do, you can ask her what happened later and whether she told you about her usual practice schedule. Then the topic will naturally come up and you don't have to worry about her dislike. As for what happens later, your classmates. Once you start talking, you'll have something to talk about," Kai Zongming said with assurance. Lu Qing stared at him and said after a few seconds, "Little Ming, in our dormitory, you're the only one I admire. You're called the Casanova?" Kai Zongming slightly bent over and slipped to the door while the senior brothers and sisters were on the stage. Lu Qing followed closely behind. Out of the door, Lu Qing was shocked by the scene in front of him before he could walk down the stairs. Not far in front of him was a striking camera carried by a big brother with artistic temperament. The lens was aimed at him and Kai Zongming. F***K, no way. I'm on TV after skipping a martial arts class? Next to the cameraman was a young girl in light gray professional attire, which was the legendary white shirt, small suit, one-step skirt, silk stockings and high heels. Seeing Lu Qing and Kai Zongming come out, this young girl with some student temperament suddenly showed a smile on her face and greeted them. "Hello, I'm a reporter from Songqing TV station. Is it convenient for you to accept a short interview?" This young lady looked like she had just graduated. She had neat and refreshing short hair, black and long eyebrows and bright eyes. Her nose was not straight enough, but it was delicate and cute. When she smiled and talked, there was a shallow dimple. In front of her chest was a work permit with the name Shu Rue written on it. "What kind of interview?" Facing the microphone, Lu Qing asked back. "No problem." Kai Zongming agreed without hesitation. They looked at each other and saw the contempt in each other's eyes. The reporter girl, Shu Rue, raised her beautiful oval face and said with a smile, "Are you members of Songqing University Martial Arts Club? F***K caught skipping class." Lu Qing couldn't help but scratch the back of his head. "Yes, we have to go first." "Well, we have to leave early," Kai Zongming answered calmly. Shu Rue didn't care and kept a professional smile. "Did you see Lin K just now?" "Yes." Lu Qing and Kai Zongming looked at each other. Would this matter be interviewed by the TV station? But thinking about it, Songqing University was the best university in Songqing and martial arts was the most popular. It was not strange to attract reporters. Shu Rue smiled. "Lin K is the first fighter of professional ninth pin in the history of Songqing University. How do you feel about him joining the martial arts club? What do you think?" "Very good. I feel that our martial arts club can reach a higher level." Kai Zongming answered with a smile. Lu Qing put on a smile and said sincerely, "I'm very excited. Well, I feel honored. Xu Rui took back the microphone and said brightly, "Thank you for accepting the interview." Watching the reporter girl and the cameraman enter the stadium, Lu Qing and Kai Zongming suddenly spoke at the same time. "Qing, was my smile a little stiff just now?" "Casanova, was my smile a little silly?" As soon as they finished speaking, they looked at each other and smiled. The little bit of nervousness they had just now suddenly disappeared. "It feels weird to be on TV for the first time." Lu Qing rubbed his cheeks. Kai Zongming laughed and said, "Me too. Forget it, who knows, it might just be cut out. The focus of the interview is on Lin Quebec. That reporter just now was not bad. She was pretty, pure, and had a good figure. Most importantly, those legs were long and straight. I like them better than your goddess." "Hello, 110? There's a pervert here." Lu Qing deliberately picked up the phone. "Get lost," Kai Zongming said in a bad mood. "I'm just saying a few words." Lu Qing laughed. Okay. If I see him in the future, I'll tell sister-in-law that little Ming keeps his chastity." The two talked and laughed. Soon they forgot about the interview and returned to the dormitory. Songqing University's dormitory had 2 bedrooms, 1 living room and 1 bathroom. There was a simple sofa and TV in the living room. The left side led to the living balcony where clothes were aired. The right side led to the washroom and 2 separate squats. Bypassing the sofa and walking along the aisle, there was a room on each side. Each room was a small dormitory for 4 people. They were not in the same small dormitory. After entering the living room, Kai Zongming took out the phone and said, "Qing, I'm going to make a call first. Remember to wait for me for dinner." TSK PDA. Lu Qing knew Kai Zongming was going to talk on the phone again, so he walked back to the small dormitory and planned to play computer games. Opening the door of the small dormitory, there was no one inside. Lu Qing understood that the 3 guys had not returned from self-study. They are so diligent. Lu Qing felt a little guilty. Only with a comparison could there be a gap. It was not early or late now. Lu Qing quickly suppressed his feelings, turned on the computer and logged into the forum. This was a collection of forums similar to Post and Bar. Various and strange forums could be found and users gathered here. The forum that Lu Qing visited was the one called Longhu Club. Longhu Club was one of the top forces in the professional martial arts competition. It was one of the most powerful contenders for the inheritance of martial arts in the country. More importantly, it was just established 30 years ago. Compared to those sects with hundreds of years of inheritance, it was like a newborn baby. And it was this kind of baby that launched a challenge to the noble, ancient and powerful sects with the support of the martial arts schools of various ages established by itself. They had made a series of brilliant achievements. Dragon King Qin Chitao, one of the legendary twins in the martial arts world today, was their signboard. Such a martial arts club, such a matchless fighter, naturally had an indescribable charm and attracted a large number of fans. Lu Qing was one of them. Entering the forum, Lu Qing unconsciously showed a mysterious smile and posted a post under the ID Schrodinger's Tiger. "Hurry! Today I finally joined the martial arts club. How can I pretend to be a regular member?" Chapter 4. The Longhu Forum had a large number of fans. If no one replied to a new post, it would drop to the second page in a few minutes. Lu Qing's post was noticed by many people because of its eye-catching title. Her nickname was Above the Sky, and her avatar was Rock Girl. She replied, "Second floor. I'll tell you if you become my disciple." She was a famous girl on the forum. Lu Qing was about to call her master, but Yanjika's figure flashed in his mind. He felt guilty. How could he fool around with other girls when he had a crush on someone? At this time a second reply appeared. A plumber eating mushrooms said, "First of all, you have to buy a professional training suit and enter the gym a few minutes after the class starts. You have to look cold and steady. When you see the coach you have to say, 'I'm sorry, I hurt my bones in the previous competition so I can only do recovery exercises.' If the coach agrees you can do Tai Chi, stretch your legs and take a walk. If the coach doesn't agree you have to stare at him coldly. You have to show enough momentum and posture. That's all. By the way, I forgot to ask you, can you beat the coach?" Lu Qing couldn't help laughing at his clever answer. He replied, "What if I can't beat the coach?" After sending this message and refreshing the page, Lu Qing saw several replies. Okamoto's fan replied, "Is the coach a girl? Hit on her. Fix her." Invincible Punch said, "This problem doesn't exist in our martial arts school. If you can't beat the coach you have to behave yourself." Rode to the arena, said, "Give the coach some money. You don't have any foundation anyway. You just need to exercise and show off. You're not like me who worked hard to enter the real martial arts circle." Outspoken said, "Go and exercise first to improve your physical strength. Otherwise, when you participate in the training class, you can't stand the stance for a few minutes and can't even beat a girl. Isn't that more embarrassing?" These four guys were all familiar faces on the forum. Lu Qing hadn't been in the forum for long, but thanks to several months of lurking around, he knew a little about them. Okamoto's fan was a dirty joker who could change any topic to sex. Invincible Punch was a martial arts school student, 1 year older than Lu Qing. He was already of amateur first pin and was working hard to enter the professional martial arts circle. He had a good analysis of martial arts and a good personality, so he was very popular on the forum. Rode to the arena was a somewhat pompous guy. He always liked to boast that he was rich, that he had once received guidance from famous fighters, that he had a professional 9th pin certificate, and that he had given up his martial arts career for the sake of his family business. He also had a lot of bad friends in the forum. Outspoken, as his name suggested, had a low EQ and would easily offend people with his words. Although he understood them as a newbie, Lu Qing still replied to them one by one. To Okamoto's fan, he replied, "Sorry to disappoint you, the coach is a man between an uncle and an old man." To Invincible Punch, he said, "You don't have to answer so seriously." To Rode to the arena, he said, "Poor student, better spend your money yourself." To Outspoken, he said, "You're right, you haven't exercised for a year in high school and played crazily for more than 2 months after the college entrance exam. You're really weak." After he sent, there were more replies. Unparalleled Dragon King said, "University Martial Arts Club? Which university? If it's Shanbei capital Huahai, you should ask Peng Liyun and Renli for autographs. What's the point? They're all real geniuses who are expected to enter the top 3 pins. Last year, in the national final of the University Martial Arts Club, they defeated those seniors who relied on their supernatural bloodline. I don't know why they insist on going to university. After this, there won't be another chance." Wonton Seller sent a cute emoticon and then said, "Little Tiger, all the best. Train your body until it's great." Unparalleled Dragon King was a martial arts fanatic and worshipped Dragon King Qin Shi Tao very much. Lu Qing had to reply, "Small school, please don't mention it." Last year he was addicted to revising for high school and spent his limited leisure time on professional martial arts competition and 5 title matches. He didn't pay attention to National University Martial Arts Club at all. He was even more ignorant of names like Peng Liyun and Ren Li. Wonton Seller was a lively and gentle girl. She was only in her 2nd year of high school and was very popular with the uncles and aunties on the forum. Lu Qing naturally replied with a smile, "Why don't you wish me to dominate the University Martial Arts Club?" At this time he also received replies to his previous replies. A plumber eating mushrooms said, "Since you can't beat the coach as Schrodinger's tiger, you can only do the tiger landing style." The tiger landing style was a joke, which meant to beg for mercy on all fours. Okamoto's fan said, "Male? Then you can only offer your chrysanthemum." Lu Qing browsed other posts on the forum to learn about the rumors and martial arts in the martial arts circle. At the same time he paid attention to his own post with a fascinated smile and replied in time. Of course his replies had to be focused. He was subconsciously inclined to reply to those IDs that had a good relationship with the moderator Pig Riding Knight, which were small legendary groups such as A Plumber Eating Mushrooms, Above the Sky, Unparalleled Dragon King, and Wonton Seller. Because of his poor family background before high school, he didn't have a personal computer. Although his family situation improved in high school, he had to indulge in his studies and had little access to the internet. Lu Qing didn't really enter the online world until the college entrance examination. He was full of interest in forums and QQ, especially when he had the same hobby. While he was in a good mood, the sky gradually darkened. He saw the latest reply from Wonton Seller. "I'm young, don't lie to me. Little Tiger, you're not even an amateur 9th pin, how can you dominate the martial arts circle in the university? Little Tiger, you'd better do your best job as a cheerleader, which has a bright future." Just as he smiled and was about to reply, there was a soft knock on the door behind him. He turned around and saw Kai Zongming standing by the unlocked door. He laughed dryly and said, "Cheng, go eat by yourself. I have some friends from my hometown coming over, so I have to entertain them." Lu Qing spread his index fingers and thumbs wide open, and then two of his index fingers pointed down, making a contemptuous gesture. At this time it was dusk, and the last class of the afternoon was about to end. He was worried about queuing in the cafeteria, so he didn't have time to deeply despise Kai Zhongming. He quickly turned off the computer, left the dormitory, and went straight to the nearest cafeteria. The cafeteria was not too crowded. Lu Qing came to the window selling meat vegetable rice, pointed to the iron basin on the left and said, "Beef with potatoes with meat vegetable rice. Add more gravy." The university was subsidized by the state, so the cafeteria was quite cheap. Lu Qing spent less than 20 yuan a day. If he focused on frugality and ate less meat, he could even spend less than 10 yuan. Of course, there was always a price to pay. First, the taste, standard, and quantity fluctuated greatly. Second, from time to time he had to accept strange dishes developed by chefs, which were commonly known as the ninth major cuisine, cafeteria dishes. The beef with potatoes in Songqing was different from other places. It usually left a lot of gravy, which almost drowned the dish. However, when the potatoes were stewed until they were powdery and almost melted into the gravy, together with the rich meaty aroma, one could eat a big bowl of rice without other dishes. As for the beef with potatoes, Lu Qing liked the fatty part of the beef best. The gravy would overflow when it was stewed, and it would be fresh and tender in the mouth. It was not as dry and tasteless as the lean meat. After eating the meat vegetable rice with satisfaction, Lu Qing planned to go back to the dormitory to play computer games and chat with Yanjika on QQ. However, he suddenly thought of the outspoken reply in his post. "My physical strength has been poor recently. I need to exercise. I can't lose face in front of Yanjika in the martial arts club." Lu Qing muttered in his heart. He decided to take a walk by Weishui Lake and run 1 or 2 laps after digestion. Sharpening one's spear at the last minute, even if it's not fast, it's shiny. Songqing University was originally located in the city. 2 years ago, with the soaring number of students, a new campus was built in the suburbs. It was said to be a mountainous and garden-like school. Therefore, the existing Weishui Lake was enclosed in the new campus. The lake was not big, but the waves were vast. The surrounding grass was long and birds were flying in the air. It was poetic and picturesque. Lu Qing walked half a circle around the lake and gradually came to the desolate area where the new campus had not yet started construction. At this time the sky was dark and the cold wind was blowing. There was no one around except for the thick grass and trees, which made people shudder. Subconsciously they thought of all kinds of ghost rumors. Tightening his thin jacket, Lu Qing decided to run and get out of here as soon as possible. He was not afraid of ghosts, but he could not guarantee that there would be someone who would jump out to rob him. After running along the road by the lake for a while, he began to pant. He felt that his body was getting weak and his physical strength was getting worse. He had to slow down and take deep breaths. At this moment, Lu Qing suddenly heard the sound of water splashing. He looked over and saw a black carp wriggling on the lakeside. It was about 20 centimeters long. Its scales were dry and scorched as if it had been burned by someone. Bang! The black carp struggled and jumped up. It turned around and landed on the ground, revealing the other side. Its scales were covered with white frost as if it had just been taken out of the freezer. Lu Qing took a deep breath and felt that this was a bit unreal. How could there be a half-braised and half-eaten cold? No half-burned and half-frozen? When he was ready to run, the black carp stopped struggling. The coexisting part of the carp cracked along the lines, revealing the scene in its belly. There seemed to be a bright moon, bright and cold, shining slowly, making the surroundings dreamy and blurred. Lu Qing subconsciously stopped and looked over. He saw that there was a spherical object in the fish's belly that seemed to be made of little ice crystals. Looking at it carefully, it was like the reflection of the universe, like a rotating vast nebula. Each ice crystal was a planet, rotating around the light purple flame. Ice and fire were unified in the most harmonious way. After a moment of silence, Lu Qing frowned and muttered to himself, "Why does it feel like the Jindan and Xianxia novels?" The dreamy spherical nebula stood there quietly, arousing Lu Qing's expectation and greed. But after thinking about it, he took out his mobile phone, opened the web application, entered the search interface, and began to search terms related to Jindan and Inner Elixir. Don't touch the things of strangers. Don't touch the things of unknown people. It didn't matter if he didn't search, but when he did, he was shocked. Lu Qing saw that an authoritative martial arts website mentioned in detail, in ancient times, there was a split among the martial artists. Some of them wanted to break the limit of life and achieve the kind of immortality in myths and legends, so they hid in the mountains and changed their martial arts. After 1 or 2,000 years, through making friends with their families and finding many clues such as caves and relics, we found that although they succeeded in cultivating inner elixir, they still completely lost their inheritance. As for immortality, sometimes there is a limit to human strength. Sometimes there is a limit to human strength. Lu Qing muttered to himself, feeling a little emotional. It seemed that it was really the inner elixir. Maybe it was left by the last cultivator, and the black carp coincidentally entered the cave and swallowed it, but couldn't bear it. Could this be his fortuitous encounter? Would there be hidden dangers and make him like the black carp? Maybe there were only 1 or 2 chances to change one's destiny in one's life. If one missed it, there would be no second chance. Would this be his chance or a disaster in his life? After thinking about it, Lu Qing took a deep breath, took off his coat and wrapped it around his right hand. He walked over quickly, intending to pick it up carefully. Don't let go of the opportunity, but you have to be on the alert and always be on guard against changes. P.S. Tomorrow is Monday. The chapter at noon will be updated in the early hours of the morning. Chapter 5. The evening breeze was chilly, but Lu Qing didn't shiver at all after taking off his coat. Instead, he felt an inexplicable heat, as if he had encountered problems beyond his ability during the college entrance examination. He approached the sparkling and dreamy Jindan. He held his breath and carefully bent down. He cautiously stretched out his right hand, which was wrapped in a thin coat. It felt solid to the touch, giving off a heavy feeling. The coldness and scorching heat that could be felt with the naked eye seemed to be just an illusion that did not reflect reality. Lu Qing exerted a little force and the Jindan floated up as if it didn't exist. It was completely different from the touch. This contradictory feeling made Lu Qing stunned. He looked at it carefully and saw it lying quietly in his hand wrapped in a coat. It was rotating slightly in the middle, stirring up little ice crystals and flames. It didn't seem to be as violent and terrifying as when it burned and froze the black carp. What a miraculous thing! Lu Qing thought to himself as he tried to find a reason for its change. Perhaps the remaining evil aura in the Jindan was completely drained by the black carp. With the danger temporarily out of the way, Lu Qing began to think about how to deal with it. He couldn't be sure that the thing in front of him was the Jindan just from a few words. Even if he could be sure, he didn't know what the Jindan could do. Should he hand it over to the country once and for all without any repercussions but with minimal benefits? Or should he hide it, search for information, study it slowly, and gain the most benefits and change his ordinary life? There might be a great risk in this, or he might not gain anything in his life. If he wanted to hide it, where should he put it? How should he keep it? Lu Qing's thoughts were in a fierce battle. The little bit of clarity in his mind told him that no matter what decision he made, he shouldn't stay here for long. He had to leave as soon as possible to avoid any accidents or changes. Suddenly, he felt that the Jindan in his hand was slowly expanding and contracting like a human's breathing. The frequency seemed to be constantly adjusting. Adjusting? Lu Qing was stunned. His mind was blank. He could only feel his own breathing. The rhythm of his breathing was unexpectedly harmonious with the rhythm of the Jindan's expansion and contraction. There was a resonance. Resonance? Just as the thought appeared in his mind, the Jindan suddenly became more illusory. It turned into a stream of light and drilled into his palm. Even with the thin coat, it didn't stop at all. How could this work? This. Lu Qing was shocked and his heart was filled with great fear. His mind was filled with the miserable state of that black carp. He didn't have time to think about it. He instinctively took a step forward and was about to run along the lakeside road to the school's hospital. He didn't care if anyone had the ability to deal with the damage caused by the golden core. After running for a while, Lu Qing gradually calmed down. Since things had come to this, there was no point in panicking. On the contrary, it would only waste his energy. As soon as he calmed down, he suddenly felt that something was wrong and frowned. His lower abdomen was warm and very uncomfortable. Every time he breathed, there was a stream of heat that rushed to his feet and lungs. The soreness from running disappeared, and his breathing gradually calmed down. He felt that he could run another 3 kilometers in one breath, and the worrying heat and cold did not appear. Lu Qing took a light breath and slowed down his running speed. He tried to calm himself down and looked at his lower abdomen. When he looked down, his head seemed to be buzzing. He vaguely saw an illusory scene. Below his navel, which was also called the dantian in martial arts, was the Jindan that hid a vast nebula-like Jindan. It was obediently entrenched, expanding and contracting as he breathed. There was also a stream of air that was mixed with bright ice crystals and flames. This illusory scene flashed and disappeared. Lu Qing only saw his dark blue t-shirt in front of him. He carefully lifted the bottom and there was nothing wrong with his stomach. It was soft and a little bulging. Obviously he had just eaten not long ago. His footsteps became slower and slower and finally stopped. As his breathing rhythm returned to normal, the warm mass disappeared and naturally, there was no stream of heat that calmed his fatigue. The Jindan can replenish my energy when I'm tired? Lu Qing frowned and thought about the change. This is a good thing. It doesn't seem like a source of danger. After all, humans and black carps are different. After waiting for a while, Lu Qing's eyebrows gradually relaxed, because the flames that scorched him and the cold that froze his internal organs did not appear. Let's try again? He made up his mind and turned back to run along the original path. After a while, Lu Qing began to feel tired. At this moment, the warm feeling in his dantian in his lower abdomen appeared again, and a stream of heat spread and calmed his body. It's true. If I keep running like this, I can participate in the school's long-distance running race. Lu Qing's joy gradually overcame his worry. He stopped in front of the dead black carp. After thinking about it, he bent down to pick up the black carp, stuffed it into a stone by the lake, and threw it back into the Weishui Lake. After doing all this, he turned around again and walked along the lakeside road back to the boys' dormitory area. Along the way, Lu Qing was happy that he had indeed gotten a treasure. Maybe he could rely on it to become one of the pillars of the martial arts club in the future, win Yenjika's favor, and have fans chasing after him. At the same time, he was worried about the hidden dangers of the Jindan. He was afraid that he would follow in the footsteps of the black carp and die young. Therefore his footsteps were light and heavy at the same time. I'll observe first. If there is a problem, I'll go to the government immediately. Standing at the door of room 302, Lu Qing took a deep breath and made up his mind. Then he took out the key and opened the door. On a secluded path by the Weishui Lake, a figure in an old man's shirt came from afar and stopped near the spot where the black carp had been. His hair was all white and he looked to be in his 70s or 80s, but there were not many wrinkles on his face. There seems to be a strange fluctuation here? The old man looked around. After a while, he shook his head and took out a small silver white metal wine pot. He took a deep gulp and then walked away while humming a song. Back in the dormitory, Lu Qing, who had a lot on his mind, did not check whether Kai Zongming had come back. He turned on the light and drove away the darkness in the room. He closed the door behind him and sat in front of the computer in a daze. He did not move the mouse or look at the screen. No matter how he comforted himself and tried to find various explanations, he was still an ordinary young man who had not experienced anything big. He could not remain calm in the face of possible dangers. He only had one life and the world was so beautiful. No matter how many benefits and future prospects there were, they could not dispel the worries in his heart. Lu Qing clenched his teeth and instinctively picked up his phone. He dialed a familiar number. Hello, Qing. A slightly hoarse female voice came over the phone. Mom, it's me. Hearing this familiar voice, Lu Qing felt a lump in his throat. His fear seemed to be soothed. Every time he felt like this, he would think of home, the home that could tolerate all his pain and troubles. Qing, have you been wronged? Why does your voice sound a little strange? Lu Qing's mother asked sensitively. Lu Qing's eyes welled up with tears. He forced a smile and said, No, just a little homesick. Homesick? I asked if you wanted to come back before the festival. Who said a man needs to be independent? Lu Qing's mother laughed in a motherly tone. Be honest, are you short of money? Lu Qing's gloomy mood slowly evaporated as he said, Really, I miss you and my dad. I miss your eggplant braised pork, stir-fried eel and tomato egg soup. I miss the chives I planted on the balcony. If he died like the black carp, it would be very, very regretful. Lu Qing's mother was silent for a while. Then she said with a sobbing tone, Your dad and I miss you too. Humph, you brat, do you have to make your mom cry? Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. His mood gradually calmed down. Of course not. By the way, where's my dad? After the third grade of primary school, his dad's company was in trouble. As the backbone of the technical team, he could only get a basic salary. He had to rely on his mom to set up a stall on the street to earn money. It was very tiring. When he was in junior high school, his dad finally decided to work. However, because of his arrogance, he couldn't get along well with the boss. He had to leave after a short time at the same place. The family relied on his mom to support them. He saw all her hard work. When he was in senior high school, his arrogance and temper were worn down by society. He returned to his hometown and became a technical director. His family's situation improved. However, his mom couldn't stay idle. She sneaked into the community as a temporary worker and got along well with a group of aunties. "Don't you know your dad? Why doesn't he play chess for an hour after dinner?" Lu Cheng's mother said in a bad mood. However, she was obviously more concerned about Lu Cheng's situation. She seized the opportunity to ask him about his studies and life. Is the curriculum tight? Is the teacher good at teaching? Is it difficult? Are the dormitory classmates easy to get along with? Is there anything you're not used to? Are you bullied? Usually, Lu Cheng would be impatient with these questions. He would just answer them perfunctorily. However, today he was in a calm mood and reminisced about the past. He answered them one by one honestly and seriously. Lu Cheng's mother became more and more talkative. She talked about family matters, from his grandfather's family to his aunt's family, from his dad's unreliable relatives to the conflicts in the community. Lu Cheng listened quietly and echoed from time to time with a faint smile on his face. After chatting, Lu Cheng's mother decided to be merciful and give him 800 yuan this month so that he could adapt to college life as soon as possible. "I didn't expect to get such a reward by calling home." Lu Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. His suppressed uneasiness had settled down. Until now, nothing had happened. It seemed that Jindan was really safe. As long as he was careful and reported to the country as soon as he showed signs, there shouldn't be any big problems. Lu Cheng rubbed his belly and couldn't help but let his imagination run wild. With Jindan, at least my physical strength is enough for me to practice martial arts. I'll strive to reach amateur 5th or 6th pin and impress Yenjika. Maybe I can reach professional 9th pin before I graduate. I'll have more paths and more employment options. Of course, if the Jindan was more miraculous than he imagined, then could he enter the real world of martial arts like he did when he was a child and compete with those strong people with different personalities to obtain one of the 5 titles that the whole country paid attention to? Well, if little Ming sees me touching my belly like this, he'll definitely ask me, "Are you pregnant?" As these thoughts ran through his mind, Lu Cheng felt a little more confident about life. Just then, the lock on the door turned and a few noisy voices came in. Lu Cheng knew that the 3 learning maniacs in his small dormitory had returned from self-study. P.S. Every chance to be seen when a new book is uploaded is precious. Guys, I want to be on the recommendation list. I'll update in advance. Please recommend me. Chapter 6. The first one to come in was old Qiu Zhigao. He was 1.75 meters tall, about the same height as Lu Cheng, but he had a big waist and strong muscles. He liked to show off his body and strength in the dormitory every day. He was also a member of the martial arts club. Although he had not received any formal martial arts training, he was also of amateur 6th pin, just a little bit weaker than Kai Zongming. He was not barbaric and rude but honest. He had no major problems except for watching some dirty movies. He was also quite rational. He knew that he could not have a bright future by relying on martial arts if he was still of amateur 6th pin in college. Therefore, he focused on studying and did not even go to the martial arts club's welcoming party. "Cheng, did the welcoming party say anything? When is the weekly practice class? When can we use the strength training gym?" Qiu Zhigao asked Lu Cheng a series of questions, inquiring about the welcoming party in the afternoon. Lu Cheng was stunned and said, "I left early so I didn't hear it. I'll ask someone later." He had forgotten his previous plan and forgot to chat with Yenjika. "Then you might as well not go." The second one to come in was Zhao Chong, the leader of the dormitory, the study leader, and a self-study maniac. He was of medium height with big eyes and bushy eyebrows. Lu Cheng admired his diligence and self-discipline from the bottom of his heart. Yeah, who knew the welcoming party of the martial arts club would be so boring? Lu Cheng would not tell him that he had gained a lot from the welcoming party. He got Yenjika's QQ number and deliberately changed the topic. "Chong, what were you talking about?" Zhao Chong said seriously. Old Qiu and model worker found a phone on the table in the self-study room. It said that the girl dormitory wanted to make friends. I told them not to worry about it and to focus on studying. Model worker was the last member of the small dormitory, Zhang Jingye, a man from the northwest with a calm personality. He used to be good-looking, but his face was full of holes due to years of exposure to wind and sand. Zhang Jingye followed Zhao Chong and said with a smile, "We don't have anyone to make friends with in our dormitory. Our youth is the era of hormones. Even honest guys like model worker and old Qiu can't control themselves." Zhao Chong shook his head and sighed. He put down his bag and started to organize his books. While digesting the various emotions brought about by the Jin Dan, Lu Qing said, "The girl's dormitory phone number engraved in the self-study room. Could this be a prank or revenge by someone else? What kind of girl would ask for a dormitory fellowship like this? Aren't you afraid of being scolded?" Songqing University currently had a landline in each dormitory. However, as mobile phones became more popular, they were gradually being phased out. I've already discussed it with model worker. That phone number is indeed from the female dormitory. If we change the last few digits, wouldn't we be able to call the other female dormitory? You don't have to worry about pranks or revenge, Qiu Zhigao said excitedly. Zhang Jingye nodded. Besides, girls might like this kind of random social call. It's like they're fated to meet each other. Lu Qing thought about it carefully and clicked his tongue. Not bad, very thoughtful. Why don't you give it a try? These two bastards were quite smart. Zhang Jingye and Qiu Zhigao looked at each other. They both had the urge to give it a try, as well as the excitement of communicating with a strange girl over the phone and socializing with her. It was a kind of random excitement without knowing the result. "Old Qiu, you do it." Zhang Jingye pouted. Old Qiu took a step forward and stopped. He was inexplicably scared. "Model worker, you do it." This. Zhang Jingye was also a little timid. At this moment, Zhao Chang shook his head and said, "You guys," just when Lu Qing and the others thought that he was going to say that studying was more important and that youth hormones were not good, he put down his school bag, looked around, and walked to Lu Qing's desk. He picked up the landline near the door and said to himself, "Change the ending number to 32. We're in dormitory 302. Lu Qing, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye were all stunned. They only felt that Zhao Chang's eyes were saying, "A bunch of weaklings." After dialing the number, Zhao Chang's face was suddenly full of smiles. He even nodded and bowed. "Hello, we're in the male dormitory. We just randomly called a female dormitory and wanted to find a dormitory by chance. Are you interested?" Yes. We're all in the School of Software. We're in dormitory 302, Unit 2, Building 7. We just dialed 32. You're in the Chinese department?" Yes. You can ask. Yes. Okay. During the call, Lu Qing and the others could vaguely hear the girls' laughter. After a few minutes, Zhao Chang reluctantly put down the phone and turned back with a smile. "Done." They agreed. "They're in the Chinese department. We'll meet first this Friday and have dinner. If we get along well, we'll go out next time. What do you think? Not bad, right?" After that, Zhao Chang found that everyone was staring at him without saying a word. He touched his face and said inexplicably, "Is there something on my face?" Lu Qing's impression of Zhao Chang was completely changed. He just wanted to complain. Then he remembered his favorite skit, so he pretended to sigh and shook his head. "I didn't expect that Chang, even a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, would betray the revolution." After saying that, everyone burst into laughter. Even Zhao Chang himself could not help but laugh. He shook his index finger and said, "Revolutionary companion, revolutionary companion, revolutionary companion, revolutionary also needs a companion." Everyone laughed for a while and soon talked about the get-together on Friday. Although it was only Monday, Zhao Chang, Zhang Jingye, and Qiu Zhigao had already started to imagine and make bold assumptions. After listening for a while, Yanzhika's figure flashed in Lu Qing's mind. His mood changed from playfulness to calmness. It didn't seem right for him to go out with another girl when he had a crush on her. "I don't care what others think. I just feel that I can't get over myself," he thought for a while and said, "Chang, I have something to do on Friday. I have to go downtown. So I won't join the get-together." "What's the matter?" Zhao Chang asked in surprise. "Something happened at home." Lu Qing lied. No one would believe him even if he told the truth. Zhao Chang nodded without hesitation and said, "Okay. Can you help me ask Casanova if he is free? After all, we have to gather 4 people. Otherwise it will be impolite." Well, he agreed so quickly. It was almost as if he already had an idea. Lu Qing was stunned and asked, "Why do you want to ask Casanova?" Zhao Chang glanced at Zhang Jingye and Qiu Zhigao and said with a smile, "You know, we are all honest and stupid people who don't know how to talk. We need someone who is good at finding topics and chatting during the get-together. I was thinking of asking Casanova before, but it doesn't seem right to go with 5 people. Since you don't want to go, so, you are honest and stupid and don't know how to talk." Lu Qing thought of Zhao Chang talking and laughing with the girl and fixed his eyes on his face. "What's wrong?" Zhao Chang asked in confusion. Lu Qing said righteously, "Chang, you betrayed the revolution again. After that, he stood up and left the dormitory to see if Kai Zongming had come back. The door was ajar. Kai Zongming's dormitory was empty except for one person. Tang Wen was the youngest student in the dormitory. He once skipped a grade, but after graduation he quickly transformed into an internet addict. He stayed in the dormitory to play games as long as it was not a class with a strict teacher who liked to call names. Tang Wen, Casanova hasn't come back yet? Lu Qing asked. Tang Wen didn't even turn his head and said, No, no one has come back. The other two in Kai Zongming's dormitory was called Mao Yuanxing, who was admitted to Songqing University with his high school girlfriend. He was envied by a lot of single people, so it was rare to see him before the lights went out. The other one was Qin Mo, a local with a good family background. Although he was a good person and could play well with others, he often went out to fool around and had different social circles. Lu Qing took out his phone and walked out of the dormitory. He went down to the courtyard of the 7th building and squatted beside the flower bed. He lit a cigarette and called Kai Zongming. Some things were inconvenient to talk about in the dormitory, so he didn't use the landline. Casanova, I have something to tell you. Lu Qing went straight to the point as soon as the call was connected. Kai Zongming was a little noisy, but soon he seemed to have gone to a quiet place outside. He laughed and said, What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? We're still eating hot pot. Chang and the others randomly called a dormitory of the Chinese department. They want you to go with them. After all, you're Casanova and can talk nonsense. You're perfect for this kind of occasion. Lu Qing said with a smile. Are you complimenting me? Or are you insulting me? Kai Zongming scolded. It sounds interesting. I'll go and have a look. But it seems that the 5 of them don't respect each other. Lu Qing paused and said, I'm not going. Why not? Kai Zongming asked in surprise. Lu Qing didn't hide anything in front of Kai Zongming. I think it's not good to go with girls when I have a crush. Ah. Kai Zongming was stunned for a moment and said, Qing, we're not dating. We're just here to get to know each other, eat and drink and expand our social circle. No one is forcing you to date. I'm so chaste and I don't care about this. Besides, you and Yan Zhika haven't even started dating yet. You're still miles away from being a girlfriend. What's the meaning of this? Forget it. I feel guilty. I'm not going. Lu Qing made a decision. Kai Zongming clicked his tongue. Qing, are you a living antique? I think you can set up a monument to your chastity. Whatever you say. Lu Qing hung up the phone and didn't get up. He was still squatting and smoking. The sparks of the cigarette butt flickered, bringing an unusual tranquility in the darkness. He had a smile on his face. He understood and sympathized with his roommate's secretion of hormones. The whole thing was quite interesting. If he didn't have a crush, he would definitely be willing to go and have a look. This was the real college life. Although noisy, it was beautiful and full of youth. The Jindan was another world. It was illusory and unreal, but full of hope. What kind of changes would happen to his life after today? Would Yan Zhika look at him differently in terms of martial arts? Putting out the cigarette, Lu Qing sat on the edge of the flower bed and took out his phone again. He logged into QQ and clicked on Yan Zhika's profile picture. In the yard, students were coming back to their dorms in an endless stream. But in the corner, it was quiet and peaceful, like 2 completely different worlds. Please recommend me. Chapter 7. Beep 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 beep. His QQ messages rang incessantly. For a moment, it was too much for his eyes to take in. On his screen, there were news notifications, local weather forecasts, replies from his childhood friends and netizens, as well as hundreds and thousands of messages from various QQ groups. But he soon ignored them because he found that Yan Zhika had accepted his friend request. He clicked on the conversation interface and hesitated. How should I call her? It was impolite to call her Yan Zhika directly, but it was obviously too frivolous to call her Zhika, Young Ku, and so on. When both parties were still at the stage of just getting familiar with each other, it would probably give the other party goosebumps and a lot of drama. But calling her classmate Yan, or classmate Yan Zhika, was very strange and gave the feeling of being thousands of miles away. Old classmate. No, the tone of a gangster would not be liked by the freshmen in college. After thinking for a while, Lu Qing finally decided not to call her but to use emojis instead. After sending a grinning emoji, he typed quickly with his thumb and said, Sorry, I have something to do in the orientation today and left early. Did you tell me anything after that? After sending the message, Lu Qing's heartbeat accelerated a little. Half of it was anticipation, half of it was worry. Time seemed to drag on. Suddenly, with a beep, Yinjika's profile picture turned from dim to bright, and her status changed from invisible to online. Lu Qing didn't notice that her profile picture was a comic cat, light gray with big eyes. Fortunately, you have a warm-hearted classmate like me. Yinjika sent a cute little monster emoji. I told you about the schedule of the martial arts class. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. The content of the 3 classes is the same. You only need to come once. It depends on your schedule. If you are free, it's best to attend all of them. Practice makes perfect. The martial arts club was open to all the students in the university from the first year to the 4th year, and from the medical school to the mechanical school. Their class schedules were definitely different, so there were 3 repetitive classes every week, and one of them was even on the weekend. This was to accommodate all the members as much as possible. Seeing Yinjika's reply, Lu Qing couldn't help but smile. The anxiety in his heart turned into joy and excitement. He quickly typed on the keyboard and instinctively wanted to ask which class Yinjika would attend. But on second thought, he felt that their relationship was not good enough for such a straightforward question, which could easily cause embarrassment. Because he valued her, he would repeatedly consider every word and expression in his heart. After a moment of consideration, Lu Qing beat around the bush and said to himself, I have calculus and linear algebra on Thursday morning, so I can only attend on Tuesday or Saturday. Yinjika replied with a smiling emoji, I can participate in all 3 times. What a coincidence. You don't have classes on Tuesday and Thursday mornings? Lu Qing clenched his left fist and praised himself for his wits. Using his own situation to induce the other party to delve deeper into the same topic, thereby obtaining the information he wanted. Yinjika replied with a blushing and scratching head embarrassed emoji, the senior of the martial arts club told me in advance, so I specially left Tuesday and Thursday mornings empty when I was choosing classes. Songqing University implemented a free course selection model. Every class had different teachers and different time slots. Students could choose their favorite teacher or the most suitable time slots according to their own arrangements and the teacher's comprehensive score. Of course, every class had a limit on the number of students. The most popular teachers and the best time slots were often in short supply. Students had to fight for them to have a chance of being chosen. In addition, students could also choose classes that were not their major or grade as electives. Whether they could pass or not depended on themselves. Lu Qing's dormitory's local rich second generation, Qin Mo, concentrated all his classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Lu Qing was about to reply when Yinjika sent another message. By the way, this semester there will be a new instructor. It is said that the principal is very dissatisfied with the results of the past few years. He wants to use Lin Kei's entrance to revive the prestige of Songqing University Martial Arts Club. We have entered the national finals before. So awesome. I've never heard of it before. Lu Qing was surprised and a little confused. It happened many years ago. If you knew, I would be shocked. Yinjika followed up with a dumbfounded emoji. Lu Qing immediately asked back, then how do you know? It's a secret. Yinjika sent a proud emoji with arms akimbo. Lu Qing seemed to be able to imagine her delicate expression and the smile on his face grew wider. Oh, I can't stand secrets. I'm itching to know. Do you want me to be unable to sleep tonight? Lu Qing sent a pitiful emoji. At the same time, he was surprised that he could be so shameless and take advantage of the situation so quickly. Maybe this is a man's instinct? Study more if you can't sleep. Yinjika sent a laughing emoji. I've been addicted to studying for a long time. I'm getting thinner. Lu Qing thought for a while and changed the topic. What's the new instructor like? He's not here yet. Yinjika replied, it's said that he's a very senior fighter. The principal used his personal connections to invite him. Anyway, he's not simple. You'll definitely gain something if you practice martial arts under him. Lu Qing, you who have no foundation, may even get a certificate of amateur third pin before graduation. Amateur third pin? Lu Qing suddenly thought of the Jindan in his body, but then he turned his attention to Yinjika. How about you? What's your expectation? I don't expect to reach the professional level. I just want to practice some unique skills so that I can fend off the wolves in the future. Yinjika sent a message, but Lu Qing vaguely felt her hidden loneliness. The 3 big illusions of life? What? Where there's a will, there's a way. Lu Qing was puzzled. I'm not telling you. Yinjika replied briefly. There was indeed a reason, but she obviously didn't want to talk about it. Lu Qing's brain was working fast, analyzing every detail. He felt that he had never listened so seriously even when he was in the third year of high school. He kept this in mind and changed the topic. Okay. By the way, I heard that the martial arts club of number 1 middle school is almost finished? We started to do it when we entered the school, and it was only finished after graduation. We missed it perfectly. Really? I didn't pay attention to it. In fact, even if it was finished when we were in school, it wouldn't be very useful. It's easy to get injured in martial arts competitions. Without high-level referees and supervisors, the number 2 hospital next door would definitely be full. How could we study? I can even imagine the expression of Director Lee of the teaching department. Yenjika replied. After mentioning the common alma mater, she seemed to be more proactive in her words. Director Lee of the teaching department? He's our math teacher. He's very interesting. By the way, he's also your math teacher, right? Lu Cheng took the opportunity to start the topic. Yenjika sent a nodding emoji. Yeah, Old Lee is very interesting. He brags for at least 10 minutes in class, and every time he praises someone, it's super embarrassing. There was one time when I wanted to go home and watch the peak duel between the Dragon King and the Warrior Sage, so I planned to finish my homework in math class. I thought I did it secretly and Old Lee wouldn't find out. But when the class was about to end, a classmate next to us spoke and was criticized by Old Lee. He said, "You guys, if you can get full marks in math like Yenjika, I won't say anything as long as you don't disturb the other students in class. I don't even care if you have kids. Look, Yenjika finished her language homework in class and I didn't say anything, right?" I was so embarrassed and felt that my image as a good student was completely destroyed. Yes, Old Lee is so funny. Once, he proudly wanted to teach us a question, but he couldn't solve it after half the class. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. After carefully checking for a long time, he sullenly said that he copied the wrong question. Lu Qing sent a laughing emoji. The peak duel between the Dragon King and the Warrior Sage? Which side do you support? Warrior Sage was one of the top 5 individual titles in the country. Because it had been monopolized by Shangqing sect's Chen Donglu in recent years, the Warrior Sage was always referred to him. He was also the other of the 2 legendary martial artists in the country, and together with Qin Chitao, he had won most of the titles in recent years. As for Qin Chitao's Dragon King, it was another title, King. After defeating all the martial arts experts in the country and obtaining this title, one would not be called the king directly. That would be too cliché. Instead, it would be based on one's nickname and martial arts characteristics, such as Dragon King, Sword King, Lion King, Spear King, etc. Of course it's Dragon King. Yenjika said firmly. Me too. Lu Qing replied happily. Unfortunately, Longhu's foundation is still not as good as Shangqing sect's. Overall, we're always at a disadvantage. Yeah, but I just like Dragon King. Yenjika sent him an emoji with hearts in its eyes. The two of them chatted animatedly, covering topics like gossip about the Dragon King, all kinds of gossip, which high school student was in love with whom, which night there was an attempted rape case, and how the boys would team up to send the girls who didn't live on campus home. Fellow countrymen, classmates, and common interests kept the smile on Lu Cheng's face. He felt that everything tonight was so beautiful. Bam! Suddenly he felt a pat on his shoulder. He turned his head in shock and saw Kai Zongming with his hands in his pockets. He said with a smile, "Not bad, Ching. You've learned it all by yourself." Learn what? What are you talking about? Lu Ching replied half-heartedly. Kai Zongming clicked his tongue. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at the smile on your face. It's obvious that you're in love. Are you chatting with your goddess? Yeah. Lu Ching blushed and had to admit it. Kai Zongming took out his phone and looked at the time. Well, Ching, that's enough. You have to stop the conversation before it gets boring. That way, you can leave the best impression on the girl and increase her expectation of chatting with you. No wonder you're a professional, Lu Qing complained. He picked up his phone and sent a smiley emoji reluctantly. I still have homework to do. Let's talk later for the martial arts class tomorrow morning. Yenjika replied with a smiley emoji. See you in martial arts class tomorrow. After exiting the chat interface, Lu Qing browsed other messages and replied to the important ones. Then he logged out of QQ and put away his phone. He looked at Kai Zongming. Casanova, do you want to go to martial arts class tomorrow morning? The cheerful conversation came to an abrupt end. He felt really lost. Yes. Let them see the power of my hidden master. Kai Zongming and Lu Cheng had the same class schedule, so they didn't hesitate. Humph. Be careful not to be beaten into a black bear. Lu Cheng complained. They went back to the dormitory laughing and joking. After everyone washed up and went to bed, Zhao Chong, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye were still talking about the get-together on Friday, imagining the appearance and character of the four girls in front of them. Lu Qing took out his phone and replayed his conversation with Yanjika over and over again. His heart was filled with joy and he was quiet and peaceful. From time to time he would respond to the three young men with hormones and chat with them. After the lights were off, the dormitory became quiet. Lu Qing fell asleep unconsciously. He had a strange dream, one where excitement and fear coexisted. Chapter 8. In his dream, Lu Qing had made tremendous progress in learning martial arts. In just a few years he had won the favor of the real martial arts circle, defeated Chen Donglu as a greenhorn, won the title of warrior sage, and stood at the pinnacle of domestic martial arts alongside Dragon King Chen Qitao. At the same time he had gained countless fans, various support groups, and was pursued by many beautiful girls. However, he stuck to his principles and only asked his heart, resisted all kinds of temptation, and finally stepped into the wedding hall with Yan Zhika, surrounded by Kai Zongming, Zhao Chong, Qiu Zhigao, Zhang Jingye, and other classmates and childhood friends. In front of them, his tired father and mother were eagerly waiting. But at this moment, Lu Qing found that his skin was little by little black, and the blood vessels inside seemed to be burning fiercely. Then his back was covered with white frost and cold air was coming out, as if he had fallen into an Antarctic iceberg, exactly like the dead herring. Inexplicably frightened, he turned his head and felt that Yan Zhika was looking at him with such strange and fearful eyes. Ah! Lu Qing suddenly opened his eyes and found that he was sleeping on his side, curled up. A glimmer of light shone in from the window and dyed the dark dormitory dim. The bed, table, chair, and mosquito net in his sight were both familiar and strange at the same time, as if he didn't know he was a guest in a dream. Stunned for a moment, he took a few deep breaths and finally figured out where he was and what he was doing. I had a nightmare. Looking at the gradually brightening sky outside the window, Lu Qing was in a trance for a moment. The dream had become blurred, and he only remembered that it carried all his fantasies and all his fears. Picking up the phone and turning on the screen, he found that it was not yet 7 o'clock. He wanted to catch up on sleep, but he couldn't fall asleep. Tossing and turning, he finally got up at 7 o'clock, walked out of the small dormitory and went into the bathroom. After finishing all this, he sat in the living room and browsed the forum on his mobile phone for a while. When he saw the posts posted by the veterans in the middle of the night, he couldn't help but smile. He gradually calmed down and looked forward to his own martial arts after he got the Jin Dan, today's martial arts class, and Yanjika's, see you in the martial arts class tomorrow. Lu Qing began to get excited. When he returned to the small dormitory, he ignored Zhao Chong, who had woken up sleepily and was preparing for the morning foreign language study. He opened his wardrobe and took out a new martial arts suit. This was the authentic martial arts suit of the Longhu Club, a gift from Lu Qing after he graduated from high school. It had a navy blue base and a traditional and modern design. It was simple yet textured. It was close to a martial arts suit, but it was slightly loose so as not to restrict the strength of the muscles. After wearing it, as long as the wearer wasn't too dispirited, he would feel energetic. After changing into his martial arts suit and tying up his cuffs and legs, Lu Qing went to the washroom again. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw an emblem of an azure dragon and a white tiger coiling around each other on his left chest. It was decorated with cloud and wind patterns, showing the top power it represented. Brushing his hair with water, Lu Qing grinned at himself. Not bad. What a show-off. Kai Zongming yawned as he walked in and mocked Lu Qing. Lu Qing clicked his tongue and said, I wonder which show-off uses men's care products every day. Hey, I have to be worthy of my face. Kai Zongming walked to the squatting seat inside. Obviously, he didn't wake up early like Lu Qing and Zhao Chong because he drank too much last night. Listening to their conversation, Zhao Chong, who was washing beside them, rolled his eyes at them. He watched Kai Zongming enter the squatting seat and close the door. Then he said, You better go to your crosstalk. It's early in the morning again. Ah. Lu Qing laughed. It's mainly because little Ming is a troublemaker. He said as he walked out of the washroom, changed into black practice shoes, and waited for Kai Zongming to finish his breakfast. While waiting, he logged into QQ. He wanted to talk to Yanjika, but he didn't want to. He felt that he would scare her if he was too eager. So he just looked at the messages in the freshman group and the class group, and then went to check the talk about of his friends. Unexpectedly, he found that Yenjika had updated a status 10 minutes ago. Tired as a dog, but very happy. Today I'll help those who get up late taste breakfast. You're welcome. So cute. Lu Cheng said to himself and patted his cheek gently. He had forgotten to check Yenjika's previous updates yesterday. This was not only his desire to know more about her, but also a way to know more about her. While Lu Cheng was browsing Yenjika's previous updates, Kai Zongming finished tidying up and walked over with a yawn. Cheng, you're smiling like a pervert. You must be hiding something. Tell me, what are you looking at? Nothing. Lu Cheng smiled and closed QQ, putting away his phone. Kai Zongming glanced at him, shook his head and said, "This is what a young man looks like when he's in love." They went out of the dormitory and went to the nearest cafeteria to drink soy milk, tea, eggs and soup dumplings. Then they walked slowly to the martial arts club stadium. The teaching buildings of Songqing University formed a triangle with the dormitory area. Among them there was a small 3-story building near the lake. It was exquisitely built and complemented the lake. It was the school's office building at the level of a school. In a room on the left side of the 3rd floor of the small building, there was a sign that said, "Principal's Office." Steam filled the air inside. A black-haired old man in his 50s was enjoying the tea ceremony. Opposite him sat an old man in his 70s or 80s. He was wearing an old white t-shirt. His hair was all white, but he didn't have many wrinkles. The old man's eyes were half closed. His nostrils were moving as if he was breathing in the fragrance of tea. Achoo. The loud sneeze shook the whole office. The black-haired old man in a suit trembled and almost threw the Yixing clay teapot away. "Can't you be quiet for 5 minutes?" The old man in a suit said grumpily. The white-haired old man rubbed his nose. "If you were pouring wine instead of making tea, I promise I'd be as quiet as your old dog." Okay, if you can bring the martial arts club to the national competition, you can choose 1 bottle of wine from my wine cabinet or cellar. If you enter the top 8, you can choose 3 bottles. If you win the championship, I'll let you drink in my cellar for 1 night. The old man in a suit waved his hand as if he was giving a speech. As the principal and a martial arts enthusiast, I'm afraid this is the last chance for me to see the Songqing University Martial Arts Club rise again. Gulp. The old man in the white t-shirt swallowed his saliva and laughed dryly. It's a deal. Actually, we're brothers. I have to help even if you don't ask, right? Just wait for my good news. After watching the old man leave the office, the principal waited for 5 minutes before he picked up the phone and dialed a number. "Hello, Yuejian. Your dad didn't go back on his word. Don't worry. I promise he'll have something to do. He won't waste his time at home. Don't mention it. Your dad and I have known each other since we were kids." In the woods by the lake, the old man looked at the ripples with his ears slightly moving. He took a sip of wine from the metal flask, sighed and smiled. In the martial arts club gymnasium, there were many members because it was the first martial arts class. Even Qiu Zhigao from Lu Cheng's dormitory showed up. Lu Cheng raised his head and looked around, looking for traces of Yenjika and ignoring Kai Zongming beside him, which made him lament in a low voice that he cared more about the opposite sex than his humanity. Looking around, Lu Cheng saw a familiar figure. Yenjika walked out of the women's locker room. Her black hair was tied up, and she wore a plain white martial arts suit with a circling dragon and tiger emblem on her chest. It was the other version of the Longhu Club's martial arts suit. They looked at each other and saw each other's clothes. They couldn't help but smile tacitly. When Lu Cheng was about to go up and say hello, Qin Jianghua, the president of the martial arts club, and Lin Kei, who was slender and clean, came out of the men's locker room one after the other. Both of them pursed their lips, and the atmosphere between them was very tense. "Everyone line up according to your current position. The new instructor will be here soon." Qin Jianghua stood in front of the crowd and shouted loudly. Everyone was trained in military training, so they quickly lined up. Lin Kei casually walked to the front of Lu Cheng's line. Qin Jianghua glared at him, but Lin Kei remained indifferent. At this time, a black shadow was reflected at the gate of the martial arts gymnasium, and then an old man came in. He wore an old white t-shirt and there was no black in his hair. His skin was good and he didn't have as many wrinkles as expected. "Mr. Shi." Qin Jianghua greeted him. Geezer Shi nodded slightly and signaled him to join the line. Then he stood in front of the line and coughed twice. "My surname is Shi. From today on, I'll be the martial arts instructor of you kids. You can call me Coach Shi or Geezer Shi. I've always been an easygoing person. I respect the old and love the young." Respect the old and love the young. Respect the old? It's hard to find someone older than you, right? Lu Qing looked at Kai Zongming and complained silently in his heart. Little Ming obviously had the same opinion. Geezer Shi continued with a smile. In November, the regional competition of the National University Martial Arts Competition will start. The principal hopes that we can surpass last year's result, so the martial arts class 3 times a week is obviously not enough. Therefore, I plan to gather the students who are likely to become the main fighters and have special training every day, from 8 to 12 o'clock in the morning. Don't worry, the principal has already agreed. As long as you participate in the special training, he will help you change the class in the morning to the same class in another time, such as in the evening. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked and immediately started whispering to each other. We have to practice every morning without holidays. Where will we have time to play games, fall in love, or relax? Kai Zongming complained in a low voice. The freshman classes were not very tight, but after devoting every morning to martial arts practice and various classes and sleeping, there was very little free time for them to do whatever they wanted. Lu Qing listened to the discussion around him and fell into a strange silence. He just responded to Kai Zongming with a few words. Geezer Shi took the opportunity to take out a roster and shouted in a hoarse voice, Lin K, do you want to participate in the special training? Lin K answered coldly, yes. Good, next, Jianghu, what about you? Geezer Shi continued. Jianghu glanced at Lin K and gnashed his teeth. Yes. Wudong, what about you? Yes. Sun Jian? Yes. Lin Hua? Yes. Li Mao? Yes. Geezer Shi read out the names of the students of amateur 6th pin and above. Most of them chose to participate, but there were a few who did not. Kai Zongming? He read out the names of the freshman fighters. Kai Zongming said without hesitation, Coach, I'd better not participate. Study is more important. Geezer Shi continued reading indifferently, Qiu Zhigao? Me too. Qiu Zhigao answered. Wuqing? Yes. After that, Geezer Shi took out the flagon and drank a mouthful of wine. Then he said slowly, of course the martial arts club is open to everyone. Students who are not of amateur 6th pin and above can also sign up for the special training. Isn't there a saying that goes, participation is the most important, and the most important thing is to strengthen the body? Well, for such students, the requirements of the special training will be lowered accordingly. Well, who wants to join? Raise your hand and sign up. The members of the martial arts club looked at each other in silence for a moment. Although they loved martial arts, it was another matter to spend so much time practicing every day and most of their leisure time. Moreover, the special training must be very tiring and tough, even if the requirements were lowered. In the silence, suddenly someone raised his hand. Kai Zongming turned around and his eyes almost popped out. He could not believe his eyes because it was Lu Qing who raised his hand. Lu Qing said loudly, Coach Shi, I want to participate in the special training. His voice was slightly loud and echoed in the team. Running could make the Jindan move slowly by itself. Would the formal and hard martial arts training help to digest and absorb it? Chapter 9. In a few seconds, Lu Qing had a deeper understanding of this saying. When he shouted, I want to participate in the special training, people cast their eyes on him from all directions. Some were surprised, some were confused, and some were curious, which made him feel scared and nervous subconsciously. It was just like the school speech he had tried before. Standing on the flag-raising platform and looking at the black mass of heads, he was always nervous and almost stuttered. Fortunately, he was not the protagonist at that time. Geezer Shi saw this and said with a smile, Good, you seem to love martial arts from the bottom of your heart. Well, what's your name? Lu Qing. Lu Qing took a deep breath and said. Geezer Shi looked through the list in his hand looking for Lu Qing's name and asked casually, Which year? Which amateur pin? 7th or 8th pin? The stadium was silent. Lin K kept his head down and looked indifferent. Jianghu took advantage of his height to look at Lu Qing from afar, wondering who this guy was and why he had no impression of him. The rest of the martial arts club members were waiting for an answer curiously. Only Kai Zongming, Qiu Zhigao, and Yan Zhika who knew Lu Qing were surprised. Lu Qing didn't think too much and answered frankly, Freshman no rank? You want to participate in the special training without a rank? Geezer Shi blurted out. It was the first time since he stepped into the gymnasium. As soon as he said this, the gymnasium burst into laughter and a cheerful atmosphere filled the gymnasium. Lu Qing was a little embarrassed at this time and couldn't help blushing. Good. Geezer sure pressed his right hand to signal everyone to be quiet. Then he said with a smile, "A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. You're like me when I was young. Remember to come to the special training tomorrow. If you can't handle it, quit. Don't force yourself. I won't take responsibility if you die." "Are you praising me? Or praising yourself?" Lu Qing said while criticizing in his mind. "Yes, coach, sure." After saying that, he subconsciously looked for Yanjika's figure. Coincidentally, Yanjika was also looking at him. With a smile in her eyes, she made an encouraging gesture. Geezer sure ignored the discussion of the martial arts club members and continued to ask, "Lu Qing is the first one to sign up for the special training and the first one to eat crab." "Well, coach, I'm in too." A sweet and familiar female voice came into Lu Qing's ears. He turned around and saw Yanjika. She's also in? Is it because she loves martial arts or for other reasons? One of life's illusions. She's doing this for me. Kai Zongming, who was beside him, dispelled Lu Qing's fantasy. "Can't you let me be happy for a few more seconds?" Lu Qing glared at Kai Zongming. "You have perseverance and courage. I can't beat you. Heaven will not let you down." Listening to little Ming's nonsense, Lu Qing suddenly didn't know how to answer him. He couldn't directly talk about the Jin Dan. If he didn't keep it a secret, he would lose his virginity. He could only admit that it was to chase girls. "Of course. That makes sense." Kai Zongming nodded and gave him a thumbs up. "You're worth teaching." Yanjika's participation made many male students eager to join her. After a while, Geezer sure finished recording and then said with a straight face, "Everyone stand properly. Get ready for class. Although some of you are of amateur first pin or even professional ninth pin, and some of you are not even qualified to attend the amateur ranking event, in my eyes, you are all the same. There is no difference. You are all martial arts enthusiasts who haven't really entered the path of martial arts, and you are all kids who haven't been weaned off milk. Therefore, the first martial arts lesson should start from the basics." With his hands behind his back, Geezer sure paced back and forth in front of the team. Although his voice was not loud, every student could hear him clearly. The beginning of martial arts begins with pole standing, supplemented by footwork practice and modern strength training, such as bench press, squats, pull-ups, back muscle stretching, and so on. When you reach a certain level, you can talk about practicing your fighting style and master the special force skills of different moves. Your principal spent a Herculean effort to invite me here respectfully, so I'm definitely not someone with an undeserved reputation. The first lesson will be pole standing. I'll teach you the foundation of the Tao Sect's Thunder Sect's ultimate technique, the Yin-Yang stance. Boom, boom. The sound waves exploded. The martial arts club members whispered to each other excitedly and excitedly. They were all talking about it. The unique skill of the Thunder Sect of Taoism was famous all over the world. Although its basic pole standing had long been popular in the martial arts circle, it was still quite rare in the eyes of amateurs in society, unlike those simple and crude pole standing functions. Lu Qing was also excited. He turned to Kai Zongming and asked, "Is it the unique skill of the Thunder Sect of Shangqing Sect?" "It should be." Kai Zongming was also a little excited. Although Taoism's martial arts did not appear early and was not the true origin of martial arts, it still inherited the inheritance of the preaching ancient times, rectified the old system of gods and ghosts, and opened up the martial arts pattern of later generations. It was a very important branch of martial arts. The core martial arts were called the 5 sects' unique skills. The highest was the Restriction Sect, and the lower levels were the Thunder Sect, Fire Sect, Fighting Sect, and Plague Sect. As the two major forces today, Shangqing Sect and Longhu Club inherited the unique skills of the Thunder Sect and Fire Sect respectively. The other major force, Shushan Study, had the complete inheritance of the Fighting Sect. As for the unique skills of the Plague Sect, they had been lost after the war. Many forces had a part of it. How could such a foundation of unique skills not make the students, who had been exposed to all kinds of news in the martial arts circle, excited? Especially since Coach Sher was personally invited by the principal, he must have some skills. He was not lying. It was a pity that it was not the stance of the Fire Sect of the Longhu Club. Geezer Sher shifted his feet and his momentum changed. He was like a mountain, like the sea, like a deep abyss, like a mountain. Then he raised his hands and crossed them in front of his chest. He continued to ramble. The external movements of the still stance are very simple. The key is how to be still. There is a saying in the Thunder Sect, "Conceal your spirit and chi and you will withdraw from troubles." It means that it is impossible to not think of something in your mind. Only dead people can do that. So, visualize something and focus all your attention on it. You will achieve stillness if you keep one. You can visualize anything you want. Men, women, cats, dogs, statues, artifacts, anything is fine as long as it's not something that arouses desire. Take me for example, I usually visualize a $100 bill. I use the founding ancestor to suppress my mind, but I don't want to be greedy. This is called treating money like dirt. Imitating Geyser's movements and listening to his humorous description, Lu Qing got into position and planned to meditate. However, his mind was always shifting from one thing to another. He couldn't achieve a state of stillness. As for visualizing Yanzhika, it was even more distracting. He couldn't help thinking about the future. At this moment, his heart skipped a beat as he thought of the golden core in his dantian. Keeping his thoughts in his lower abdomen, Lu Qing slowly focused his thoughts on the Jindan itself, imagining the dreamy ice ball and the little flames that resembled a nebula. As he focused his thoughts, Lu Qing's vision suddenly changed. He seemed to see the dreamy Jindan in his dantian. The Jindan rotated slowly. The little ice crystals turned into stars and surrounded the flames. It was as if he was in the vast universe, deep and grand. Did he directly look into the Jindan? Lu Qing was a fan of martial arts for many years. He was no stranger to academic terms. He quickly figured out his current state. This was the advanced level of stillness. Previously, he could only sense the Jindan when he was tired from running. Now he could rely on stillness to look directly into the Jindan. He began to have a wonderful feeling of gradually controlling it. He was no longer trembling and helpless like yesterday. Practicing martial arts can help me control the Jindan, and the Jindan can help me practice martial arts faster. For example, when I was meditating just now, I made the right choice to participate in the special training. Lu Qing focused on his dantian to achieve stillness. The rest of the thoughts appeared and disappeared. It was not that he did not want to appear, but that he did not want to affect himself. The surroundings seemed to become empty. Everything was at the edge of the sky. Geyser's voice sounded in his ears from afar. After meditating, slowly shift your center of gravity. First, turn to the left. Make your left foot heavy and your right foot light. Then, reverse and shift your center of gravity to the right. Make your right foot heavy and your left foot light. Carefully feel the changes in every inch of your muscles during this process. This is the yin-yang stance. It seems to be motionless on the surface, but in fact, it is constantly changing inside. The purpose of practicing this pole standing exercise is firstly to let you master the state of meditation, and secondly, to let you feel and understand every subtle change in your body when you exert force and the coordination between them. Thus, you can better control your body and use it more harmoniously. When you practice to the extreme, your strength, muscles, and willpower will be integrated into one, coordinated and smooth, and there will be absolute reaction. It's like a human body's big Dan. When the Dan is formed, Qi will be produced, and that is when you step into the realm of Dan Qi. The real entry level of martial arts is at least professional 8th pin. Haha, I'm just saying. You don't have to think too much. Anyway, it's impossible to practice to this level. Among you only Lin Ke has hope. The rest of you just take it as a passing wind. Damn, although he is telling the truth, this old man is so mean. A thought flashed through Lu Qing's mind, but he still maintained the stance. At the same time, he began to slowly shift his center of gravity to his left foot. As he shifted his center of gravity, the muscles of his legs, soles of his feet, and waist all changed. Everything was reflected in Lu Qing's mind, giving him a feeling that he didn't recognize his own body. When he was running with his fists, it seemed that his mind was moving and his body was not sluggish at all. Who would have thought that there would be such continuous changes in the small parts? No wonder sometimes when the posture was wrong, he would be tired and slow down a lot. It was because the order of the changes in force was wrong. The mountain was not a mountain, the water was not water. Lu Qing soon immersed himself in this new feeling. He continued to slowly shift his center of gravity, feeling the various changes in his body between illusion and reality, movement and weight. It was like opening the door to a new world. Especially when the Jindan began to operate and split into streams of heat to the small parts, he vaguely touched on some kind of mystery. After Geyser finished teaching the yin-yang stance, he began to inspect the students with his hands behind his back. It was almost impossible to practice the still stance for the first time. He just wanted to let these brats get used to it first. Lin Ke is not bad. He's learned it from his family and has already mastered the still stance. Geyser passed by Lin Ke and nodded slightly. Qin Jianghua is thinking too much and can't calm down. Wu Dong is weak and can't calm down even if he wants to. Yan Zhika has mastered it well. She should be able to do it after a few more times. What the hell is this? What is he thinking? Why is he drooling? He passed by one student and commented in his mind. This is Kai Zongming, right? He's a little talented, but he has too many thoughts. If he doesn't organize them properly, it will take him a long time to master the yin-yang stance. Geezer sure paused beside Lu Cheng. His eyes were filled with bewilderment. Chapter 10. Raising his eyebrows, Geezer sure squinted his eyes and slowly opened them. His turbid eyes turned silver, cold and crystal clear, reflecting Lu Cheng's figure in the depths of his eyes. After pondering for a while, he frowned and the light in his eyes faded. He put his hands behind his back and left Lu Cheng's side. After taking a few steps, he looked back again and continued to patrol as if nothing had happened and he hadn't seen anything. The first still stance was the most boring, which made the body feel tired and sore easily. Geezer sure checked his watch and coughed after half an hour. Stop. That's all for the first still stance. To Lu Cheng, his voice seemed to be floating from the horizon, illusory and unreal. However, Lu Cheng could only reluctantly withdraw from the state of perfect unity. The noise around him and the men and women in reality were like tides rolling in again, filling his senses once again. Another 2 levels of heaven. Yin-yang stance is so ***king tiring. Kai Zongming complained to Lu Cheng while taking turns to move his legs. Yeah, but it's also quite interesting. Lu Cheng imitated his movements. He couldn't say that he could stand until the end of time, could he? After that, Geezer sure asked Qin Jianghua to demonstrate and explain one of the martial arts club's moving stance, which was the training routine. He gave everyone an hour to master and practice it, which could be used to stretch and temper the body, and to integrate coordination with nature into instinct. During the whole process, he sat leisurely in the ring with a cigarette in his mouth. His leisurely appearance made people want to spit at him. Okay, we'll divide into 2 groups from here. Those on my right will follow Qin Jianghua to the strength training gym to train their muscles, and those on my left will follow Qin Jianghua to train their footwork. After 40 minutes we'll switch. Geezer sure looked at his watch, jumped off the ring and pointed to the center of the group. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming were on Geezer sure's right, so they followed the crowd to the strength training gym behind the ring. When they passed by Geezer sure, Lu Cheng tripped on something with his right foot and staggered forward. The sudden change scared him so much that he broke out in a cold sweat. He was about to fall to the ground and nothing could stop him. However, when he was in the air he could feel the subtle changes in his muscles just like when he was in meditation. Instinctively he wriggled and adjusted his body's center of gravity. With one foot on the ground, he straightened his spine and pulled his body forward. He took a few steps forward and finally stabilized himself. He didn't end up being a laughingstock. Looking back, he saw a sea of unfamiliar faces. He couldn't find any clues as to why he nearly tripped. Cheng, are you all right? Kai Zongming was also shocked. I'm fine. I don't know what I tripped over just now. Lu Cheng shook his head and replied. He didn't dwell on it and continued forward. In the crowd, Geezer sure was holding a cigarette in his right hand. He looked at Lu Cheng's back and nodded thoughtfully. In the strength training gym, Lu Cheng was devastated. He thought that with the Jindan he could push the previously unreachable barbell. However, it was still unreachable. It seems that there are only 2 uses for the Jindan. The first is to recover fatigue and eliminate soreness. The second is to help me enter meditation, understand and master the subtle changes in my body, and improve coordination. It's good for practicing footwork, but it can't improve my strength, speed, and agility. Lu Cheng thought about how he nearly fell and silently summarized the benefits of the Jindan. Then he became more and more immersed in the strength training. Relying on his fast recovery and light fatigue, he exercised all his muscles intensively and comprehensively, hoping to improve his strength quickly in a short time. Kai Zongming was stunned and couldn't believe that Lu Cheng was like this. After the strength and footwork training, Lu Cheng was still sweating even though he had the heat flow from the Jindan to make up for his consumption and to get rid of his fatigue. He wanted to find Yan Zhika, chat with her, and then take Kai Zongming to take a shower. However, before Geezer sure could announce the end of the martial arts class, Qin Jianghua, the president, walked out of the line. Coach Sure, I want to participate in the ranking event, but I lack the necessary actual combat practice. Qin Jianghua paused for a moment before turning around to look at Lin Quebec. Then he smiled faintly and said, That's why I wish to challenge junior brother Lin Quebec. I hope you can be the judge so as to avoid any injuries. That would be bad. Many members of the martial arts club gasped when they heard this. Although Qin Jianghua had clearly shown his dissatisfaction with Lin Ke during the welcoming ceremony, as if two tigers could not live on the same mountain, no one had expected that he would directly challenge Lin Ke in the first class. Was he so confident? Had he already reached the level of professional ninth pin and there was no longer a gap between ranks? Lu Qing didn't expect Qin Jianghua to be so anxious. He looked sideways at Kai Zongming and then at Yan Zhika. Unfortunately, he couldn't find them because of the crowd. Kai Zongming sighed and said, I didn't expect this chimpanzee to have a brain. He knows to challenge as early as possible. Ah. Lu Qing withdrew his gaze and looked at Kai Zongming in confusion, waiting for an explanation. Before reaching the Danqi stage, height and sturdiness are a great advantage. If you make good use of it, you can pass the professional ranking event and get the certificate of ninth pin even though you're only at the level of amateur second or third pin. Well, in terms of overall strength, you'll be a real professional ninth pin fighter. Kai Zongming had received several years of formal martial arts education, so his analysis was clear and logical. Lin Ke is a genius fighter. He reached the professional ninth pin at the age of 18. Give him 2, 3 or even half a year and he may be able to go further. Even if he can't reach the Danqi stage, he'll definitely make more progress than the chimpanzee. The gap between them will only widen. So Qin Jianghua wants to take advantage of the gap between them to challenge Lin Ke, beat him hard, and leave a psychological shadow on him so that he can maintain his position before graduation. Lu Qing suddenly understood. Psychological shadow? You've read too many novels. Kai Zongming glanced at Lu Qing. But if Qin Jianghua uses this victory to build up his momentum and connect his willpower, he may be able to go further. Well, he should be confident that he's at the level of professional ninth pin, otherwise he wouldn't challenge him directly. While they were discussing, Geezer Shi looked at Lin Ke with a smile. Do you want to accept the challenge? Okay. Lin Ke answered coldly without a trace of emotion. Qin Jianghua turned around and smiled, politely. He strode to the ring. As he stepped on the ring, his whole momentum changed. He was like a fierce tiger with its claws open, or a water buffalo with its head lowered. To be able to become the president of the martial arts club, he does have some real skills. Lu Qing thought to himself and shifted his gaze to Lin Quebec. Lin Ke wiped the sweat off his face and walked towards the ring unhurriedly. His white training clothes made him look handsome and handsome. His cold temperament attracted everyone's attention. Lin Ke didn't change his momentum when he stepped on the ring. He stood straight and looked at Qin Jianghua expressionlessly. When Geezer Shi came slowly and stood beside him as the referee, Qin Jianghua saluted and said, Junior brother Lin, please enlighten me. Because his rank was lower than Lin Ke's, he took the initiative to attack. He crouched and staggered like a poisonous snake, pouncing on Lin Ke from left to right. The gorilla's footwork is good. Kai Zongming, who was beside Lu Qing, praised. No one expected that Qin Jianghua, who was known for his strength and physique, would have such agile footwork. The combination of the two was more than 1 + 1. No wonder he dared to challenge Lin Quebec. Lin Ke took a sideways step with his left foot, as if to avoid Qin Jianghua's pounce. But when his left foot touched the ground, Qin Jianghua suddenly changed his footwork. He kicked with his right foot, and with his shoulder and arm as a corner, fiercely hit the position where Lin Ke was trying to dodge. His momentum was extremely fierce, like a mad bull. Low screams suddenly sounded from all directions. They were all worried about Lin Quebec. The fierceness of this hit made them tremble with fear. Lu Qing also doubted that if he were in Lin Ke's position, even if he was in a blocking position, his arm and ribs would be broken and he would be sent flying. This was the level of a professional ninth pin fighter. And it was Qin Jianghua's strong point and Lin Ke's weak point. At this moment, Lin Ke's waist and back bounced, and his spine moved like a snake. Before his left foot completely touched the ground, his center of gravity returned to his right foot. With this as the axis, he turned around and circled to Qin Jianghua's back. He raised his left hand and briefly and powerfully struck backward with his elbow. His movement just now was a feint, a trap. Qin Jianghua missed his target and heard the sound of air breaking behind him. He had to harden his heart and take advantage of the momentum to move forward. He jumped on the ground and rolled lazily to avoid the elbow that was aimed at his back. While rolling, he tried to bounce up with his waist and abdomen. Lin Ke slid to his side and then whipped out his right foot like a whip. There was a crisp sound in the air. Bam! Jianghua put his palms horizontally in front of his body to block the whip kick. But he still moved back half a meter. The web between his thumb and forefinger was all split open and bleeding. Lin Ke was not going to let him go. He whipped his legs again and again, all of which were not higher than the knees. With crisp sounds he kept hitting Jianghua's hands. Bam, bam, bam. Jianghua was pushed to the edge of the arena. His hands were badly mangled. He fell to the ground with a blank face, as if he could not believe that he had lost so easily. He did not even have the chance to use his best throwing skill. The whole martial arts arena was silent for a few seconds and then burst into enthusiastic cheers. They were singing for the real mighty ones. Lu Qing turned his head and saw Yanjika cheering excitedly with her hands raised high. Awesome. I Kai Zongming am convinced. Professional ninth pin is really amazing. Little Ming murmured to himself. Lu Qing withdrew his gaze and felt quite complicated. When he recalled the duel just now, he suddenly thought of something. Wasn't the feint that Lin Ke used to win the match the application of yin-yang stance? The key point of yin-yang stance, he felt very clearly, was to coordinate the whole body and use force as one. When practiced to the extreme, it was the danqi state. Lin Ke obviously mastered this aspect. His coordination and control of his body were terrifyingly good. Didn't you see it? He should be close to the danqi state, close to professional eighth pin. Lin Ke nodded to Gizershur and walked down the arena. He did not even look at Jianghua and went to the locker room. Jianghua's best friend, another amateur master, Wu Dong, finally woke up. He ran out of the crowd and helped Jianghua up from the ground. At lunch, Lu Qing had a big appetite and ate twice as much as usual. Kai Zongming and Qiu Zhigao were almost the same. A lot of practice was naturally accompanied by a lot of consumption, so they needed a lot of replenishment. Of course, they did not eat until after 1 o'clock because they were too tired before. While waiting for the two to eat, Lu Qing logged into QQ and chatted with Yanjika for a while. The conversation was still vivid in his mind when he had class in the afternoon. Lin Ke is really awesome. He took the initiative to start a topic. Yes. I believed he would win, but I didn't expect him to win so easily. Yanjika sent an emoji of a head nodding like a chicken pecking rice. Lu Qing felt a little jealous and said with emotion, I don't know when I can be as awesome as him. Yanjika sent an emoji of shining white teeth. Do you want to hear the truth or the lie? What's the truth? What's the lie? Lu Qing asked curiously. Yanjika sent a lively and cute emoji. The lie is that if you insist on the special training every day, rain or shine, and with the guidance of Coach Shur, you have the hope to get a professional ninth pin certificate by the time you graduate in your senior year, and be as awesome as Lin Ke is now. Well, I didn't expect you to think so highly of me. Lu Qing sent a shy emoji. What's the truth? Yanjika sent a sneering emoji. The truth? You can't persist until your senior year. There will be more courses and the pressure of employment. How will you have so much time to participate in the special training? And the professional ninth pin won't be able to enter the martial arts circle by the time you graduate. Well, everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be martial arts. Everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be martial arts. Lu Qing looked at the slides in front of him, and this sentence flashed through his mind repeatedly. If he did not take the risk to get the Jin Dan, perhaps this sentence would be the best explanation for him. Chapter 11. With a goal and a desire, Lu Qing was not only looking forward to the martial arts special training the next day, but also worked very hard in class. It seemed that he was trying to make up for the time he had wasted. He was striving to get both hands on both. Beside him, Kai Zongming secretly clicked his tongue and kept mocking him, saying, Men really think based on hormones. In order to pursue a girl, you have betrayed the revolution, leaving me alone to waste my days. When introduction to computer science was over, Lu Qing went back to his dormitory and checked the website of the Academic Affairs Office. He found that his class schedule had been adjusted. The mornings were empty and the afternoons and evenings were full. Only Thursday was free so he could rest at night. Just another senior in high school. He secretly clenched his fists to encourage himself. Because he had already taken a shower in the bathroom after the martial arts class, he casually wiped his face with the water in the thermos bottle, soaked his feet and brushed his teeth. Then he declined Kai Zongming and Tang Wen's suggestion to play a game online. He climbed into bed early and prepared to wake up early the next morning. Lu Qing didn't wake up early to rush to the special training at 8 a.m., but to wake up early at 7 a.m., just like when he was in his senior year of high school. Geezer sure told him to stop practicing yin yang stance today because he wasn't satisfied enough. Tomorrow might be the same. After all, according to Geezer sure, most people couldn't last long at the beginning, so he might as well train for 40 minutes first. Lying in bed, he played with his phone out of habit. He logged into QQ and browsed the forum of the Longhu Club. In the forum, a post was highlighted and the title was, Dong Baxian, I'm one of the top 3 in the world. Damn, what a big mouth. Lu Qing complained and clicked on the post. It was an interview with the chief expert of the Yanzhou League, Dong Baxian. Dong Ba had been a first pin master for many years. Before the legendary twins became famous, he had obtained 4 titles, including 2 of the titles of king. That was why he was also known as the Battle King. He had always been arrogant and conceited. Even the children on the streets knew this. However, his strength matched his personality, which made people love and hate him at the same time. Those who liked him worshipped him to the extreme, and those who hated him to the bone. In the interview he said arrogantly, excluding the taboo masters, I'm one of the top 3 in the world. This was the forum of the Longhu Club. Most of the people here were fans of the Dragon King, Qin Chitao. It didn't take a genius to figure out what kind of comments would follow. Sure enough, the moderator, Pig Riding Knight, occupied the second floor and started the discussion. Yao Ming and I have an average height of 1.9 meters. Although I hate Chen Junzi, I still have to say that he and the Dragon King are on the same level as the Taboo Masters. The others are on another level. Dong Baxian is just taking advantage of their position. Sun sent a laughing emoji and said, actually Dong Baxian wasn't wrong. Apart from the Dragon King and the hypocrite Qian, even with the help of those foreign kung fu experts, he does have a chance to compete for the first place. Logically speaking, there's nothing wrong with being one of the top 3 in the world. That's right, I just feel like laughing. 233333333. This girl was a hot topic on the forum. She would post pictures of herself from time to time. She could be considered half an internet celebrity. There were almost 100 replies under her comment, more than the moderator, Pig Riding Knight. Outspoken, who had previously suggested that Lu Qing run to improve his stamina, said, Bah, why don't you look in the mirror? How many titles has Dong Baxian gotten since the Dragon King got his first title? 1. Only the title of Grandmaster. And that's because the Dragon King and the hypocrite Chen Junzi fought each other until both sides suffered losses. Dong Baxian took advantage of that. Don't be hooligan, said Dong Baxian, it's impossible to be humble, not in this lifetime. His strength isn't good enough, so he can only rely on bragging to maintain his current status. This answer was very unique. Lu Qing immediately smiled and replied below, you're talented. Don't be hooligan, and Okamoto's fan, were both experienced in dirty jokes. Recently, they had been flirting with another famous female ID on the forum, Beautiful World. Soon, don't be hooligan, replied Lu Qing, it's not me who's talented. It's stop gambling my old bro who's talented. It's a famous quote from Guevara. I just changed it a little. Stop gambling? Lu Qing replied blankly. Don't be hooligan said, haven't you seen that video? There's a thief who was caught. During the interview he said, it's impossible to work, not in this lifetime. I don't know how to do business. It's only by stealing that he can maintain his life. That way, entering the detention center feels like coming home. His answer was so funny that he became famous very quickly. Because of the similarity? Guevara, that's why he was called a thief? Guevara, the old bro of Stop Gambling, worshipped him as their spiritual leader. Okamoto's fan also explained, Stop Gambling is a place to stop gambling. But when a group of gamblers get together, they naturally start to discuss how to win money. They call themselves old bro, and even when they owe dozens of people, they can still post at home paralyzed. Dozens means hundreds of thousands. And when they're on the run, they're still in the mood to drink a few bottles of beer, repair a car, or take selfies. We can only say, bro, steady. I often go to that bar to have a look. I think they're very talented and very fun. Love Feng Xiaomeng added, don't lead Schrodinger's tiger astray. He's only a freshman. Anyway, I really like the old bro of Stop Gambling. Their most classic quote is, I borrowed money with my own ability, why should I return it? Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. That makes sense. I actually have nothing to say to that. At this moment, Wonton Seller tagged Lu Qing, Little Tiger, how do you feel about the first class of the martial arts club? The new coach is very good. He directly taught us the Thunder Sect's yin-yang stance. Lu Qing replied with a bit of pride. Of course, he didn't mention that he had successfully achieved 1-point stance on the first day. Little tiger, maybe you can really become the #1 master of our forum in the future. Patting shoulder. Wonton seller joked. Road to the arena, who loved to show off, also joked, "Yo, you've become a traitor." The topic quickly changed and everyone started to make a fuss. Lu Qing rarely became the center of attention. He was quite interested in chatting at first, but gradually he couldn't open his eyes. The Jindan could help him recover from physical fatigue, but it couldn't eliminate mental fatigue. After a day of intensive living, he couldn't take it anymore. Lu Qing reluctantly set the alarm and fell asleep with his phone in his hand. The next day at 6:40 a.m. Lu Qing's fixed time to wake up. He naturally woke up and turned off the alarm that was going to go off in 5 minutes, so as not to wake up his roommates. After washing up, he quietly put on another set of ordinary martial arts suit. He left the dormitory, ran out of the gate of the courtyard and ran towards Weishui Lake. The morning air was fresh and refreshing. Every breath he took made him feel refreshed. Ah, how beautiful the world is. Ah, how fresh the air is. Lu Qing was in a good mood and joked a few lines. Running in the quiet and empty space, he could occasionally see a few crazy people reciting books. At the lakeside, Lu Qing found a secluded place. He wanted to directly do the stance, but then he had an idea. He respectfully bowed 3 times to the lake and muttered in his heart, "I don't know which senior left the Jindan. I was lucky to get it. If I succeed in martial arts in the future and can directly enter the water, I will definitely find the senior's remains and give them a grand burial." He imitated the tone in the novel, saying thanks and promises to the original owner of the Jindan. After doing all this, he spread his feet, raised his hands and stood on the yin-yang stance. Once again he concealed his spirit and qi and observed the Jindan in silence. He felt the subtle changes in his body as he moved his center of gravity. As time passed, he gradually felt that these changes were all in his heart. He felt that his body still belonged to him. It seemed that in time he would be able to completely control his body. The mountain was still the mountain, the water was still the water. Immersed in this, Lu Qing didn't know how much time had passed. He was only waiting for the second alarm to ring so that he wouldn't be late for the special training. Suddenly, his heart moved and he opened his eyes. He found that there was an old face with some wrinkles in front of him. The cloudy eyes were staring at him. Lu Qing was shocked and almost punched him. Fortunately, he recognized the old man in time. Coach Sure, why are you here?" he stammered. Geezer Sure smiled and said, "Why can't I be here? Yesterday I found that you could directly enter the Jindan. Hee, if it weren't for your weak muscles and weak bones, I would have thought that you had learned the top secret art of playing the pig to eat the tiger, at such a young age. I didn't learn it until I was 30 years old." Lu Qing didn't have the strength to complain. He could only laugh and say, "I don't know what happened. I just thought of the Dantian and entered the Jindan." He could see it. Fortunately, he didn't find the Jindan in his body. This shows that you have talent in this area. Geezer Sure suddenly put on a serious face. "Do you want to enter the real martial arts circle in the future? Do you want to reach professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years? Everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be martial arts." This sentence flashed in Lu Cheng's mind. He also remembered the excitement, worship and excitement of Yan Zhika and the other spectators when Lin Ke won the competition. Therefore he said without hesitation, "Yes. Coach, you have a way. Of course, but you have to worship me as your teacher." Geezer Sure said arrogantly, "Well, martial arts is like sailing against the current. Even if you have talent, if you slack off, plus you are already late, I'm afraid you won't be able to reach professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years. I can only say that the master leads the way. Whether you can succeed in the end is mostly up to you." Lu Qing nodded and understood this. He immediately learned the etiquette of the martial arts circle and said, "Disciple greets master. Well, no need for formalities. Today is the day you enter the sect." Geezer Sure showed a playful smile again. "All right, don't tell others that I'm your master." "Huh? There are secrets?" Lu Qing asked subconsciously, "Why? And this is the day I become your disciple? Isn't it too childish? It's simply unreal. Although you have talent, you may not be able to practice it. I'm afraid I'll lose face if I have such a useless disciple." Geezer Sure looked at Lu Qing with disdain. "So realistic." Lu Qing was speechless. "I'm just that realistic." Geezer Sure seemed to see through his thoughts. He laughed and said, "Wait until I recognize your level before telling others." Lu Qing thought for a while and said, Master, it doesn't matter if you don't tell others, but I have to know your specific situation, right? Geezer sure snorted and said, I don't want to talk about things that are too early. A few years ago, I was cooperating with the military to do a research. You know, after entering the physical invulnerability state, martial artists start to become different from ordinary people. They have all kinds of magical abilities. And the more they practice, the more likely they are to pass on these magical abilities to their descendants, giving them the so-called supernatural abilities. Our research is on the relationship between martial arts and supernatural abilities. Lu Qing thought of the purple flame and thunder during the battle between Dragon King and Warrior Sage. He nodded solemnly to show that he understood. Then he asked curiously, Master, what kind of research are you in charge of? Geezer sure glanced at Lu Qing and said lightly, being researched by others. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh out of breath. Then he saw Geezer sure stride towards the martial arts club stadium. Lu Qing stopped laughing with difficulty and was suddenly stunned. According to Master's description, this research obviously requires the cooperation of a physical invulnerability mighty one to carry out. In other words, Master is a physical invulnerability mighty one? Is he euphemistically saying that he's a top 3 mighty one? Chapter 12. While Lu Qing was still in shock, the old face with fewer wrinkles appeared in front of him again. He was shocked again. Master, why are you back again? Geezer sure laughed. I forgot to say. Since you're my disciple, from tomorrow on, wake up at 5:30 and wait for me here at 5:50. Do 2 more hours of training before the special training. Wake up at 5:30? Lu Qing asked in surprise. It was still dark at that time, right? He didn't have to work so hard in the 3rd year of high school. How many hours could he sleep if he woke up at 5:30 every day? If he continued to train, even if he had the Jin Dan, he might pee blood. What? You don't want to wake up? Geezer sure touched the sparse white beard on his chin. You've missed the best age for training your body. If you want to reach professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years, how can you make up for it if you don't work hard? Diligence makes up for stupidity. Kid, you'll suffer if you don't listen to your elders. Lu Qing was silent for a moment. Thinking of his recent expectations of martial arts, he finally nodded and said, I can get up, but the door of every dormitory only opens at 6:30? It's okay. I'll get someone to give you the key to the dormitory door. Geezer sure waved his hand with a nonchalant look on his face. Waking up at 5:30 is the best time for cultivation in ancient times. You also need to get enough sleep, so you must sleep at 10:30 every day. I'll call you to remind you. Sleep at 10:30? Lights out at 12? Lu Qing almost gasped. This meant that he had almost no time for entertainment. Every night, except for Thursdays and Saturdays, he had classes from 7 p.m. to 9:35 p.m. When he returned to the dormitory and finished washing up, it would be around 10 p.m. The remaining half an hour was not enough for him to chat on QQ or browse the forums. As for games, he could only chuckle. Could it be that he could only relax during class breaks and lunch breaks? As for skipping classes to have fun, Lu Qing couldn't do it for the time being. If his grades were not good, how could he face his mom and dad? Forget it. No pain, no gain. I'll try it for a semester and see how much progress I've made. Just treat it as another 3rd year of high school. Lu Qing exhaled and answered, your disciple will go to bed on time. Geezer sure nodded slightly. And do you smoke? Yes. Lu Qing didn't dare to hide. I quit. Geezer sure said mercilessly, you haven't completed your physical training yet. Smoking and drinking are harmful to your body. That Wu Dong from the martial arts club has damaged his body because of smoking and drinking. He's already half crippled. Well, you should quit drinking too. Yes. Lu Qing was not addicted to cigarettes and alcohol, so he only felt slightly uncomfortable about quitting them. Do you have a girlfriend? Geezer sure continued asking. No. Lu Qing suddenly paused and said fearfully, what if there is? Quit it too. Geezer sure's expression was serious. What? He even quit his girlfriend? Just as Lu Qing was breaking out in cold sweat, Geezer sure suddenly showed an indecent smile. Well, what I mean is, if you have a girlfriend, you should arrange your martial arts, study and dating time reasonably. Don't neglect her. If you get dumped, you'll be sad and hurt your body. Also, although you're young, you should still control your sex. If you don't have a girlfriend, your left and right hands need self-discipline. That's all for now. Tomorrow morning at 5:50 a.m. Wait here on time. I'll teach you a few stances of the Shangqing sect and the Ice sect. Since the beginning of the martial Tao there were many sects, but the 5 sects' secret arts were the most famous. Therefore, many sects, even if they were not Taoist martial arts, would name their own martial arts in the form of the 5 sects' secret arts, such as the Ice Sect secret arts and the Water Sect secret arts. Lu Qing was refreshed and suddenly didn't resist going to bed and waking up early. Since the master-disciple relationship couldn't be spread, he waited until Geezer Shur was far away before running to the martial arts club gym. When he arrived he was already the last one. Compared to yesterday's martial arts class, there were only a dozen people today. Qin Jianghua and Wu Dong were seniors, Sun Jian, Lin Hua and Wu Meng were juniors, Jiang Fuxing, Li Mao and Li Xiaowen were sophomores, and Lin Ke, Guqin, Yan Zhika, Lu Cheng and Su Qiubai were freshmen. More than half of them were freshmen. One reason was that the sophomores and juniors were busy looking for jobs, and the other reason was that Yan Zhika, the most beautiful girl of the martial arts club, had signed up, which attracted many boys of the same year. Therefore, at first glance, Lu Qing found that the group was quite masculine. Except for Yan Zhika there were only Lin Hua, Li Xiaowen and Guqin. Guqin was tall and strong with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Her arms were as thick as a normal person's thigh, but her martial arts level was good. She was second only to Lin Ke among the freshmen. Like Kai Zhongming, she was of amateur 5th pin. As for the postgraduates, of course, they were busy working for their boss. How could they have time to participate in the martial arts club activities? I went for a jog first. I was almost late. Seeing that Yan Zhika was the only one familiar, Lu Qing plucked up his courage and shamelessly squeezed through the crowd to say hello. Yan Zhika pursed her lips and smiled. I thought you would give up after what I said yesterday. Why would I? I have a devout love for martial arts, Lu Qing said in an exaggerated tone. Yesterday I didn't rest at all. After washing my face and brushing my teeth in the dormitory, I was so sleepy that I couldn't open my eyes. I just lay on the bed and fell asleep after a while. But he didn't chat with Yan Zhika. Yan Zhika smiled faintly. Me too. In the morning, martial arts class. In the afternoon, advanced mathematics and introduction to philosophy as an elective. In the evening, English. When I got back to the dormitory, I almost didn't want to take a shower and just fell asleep smelly. Which school are you in? Lu Qing just realized that he had forgotten to ask. The School of Business and Economics. Yan Zhika stopped when Geezer Shur came in. Most of the special training in front of him was the same as the previous martial arts class: pole standing, strength training, and footwork practice. Lu Qing was very engrossed, especially in pole standing and footwork practice. He felt like a fish in water and could almost intuitively feel his own progress bit by bit. As for strength training, Lu Qing relied on the Jindan to recover from fatigue and carried out continuous and coordinated training. He could also feel his gains. After 3 hours of hard training, it was 11 o'clock. Geezer Shur gathered everyone and said with a smile, "Next is the basic movement and strength training. Then you have half an hour to practice with each other. 2 people will be in a group and the level of your martial arts will be matched. Lin Ke, because it's an odd number, you will be in a group with Sun Jian and Su Qiubai. You will guide them and practice with them separately. Your level of martial arts is higher than the others, so you won't be able to find an evenly matched opponent in a short time. So, change your perspective and be a coach." Lin Ke nodded silently and didn't object. Geezer Shur continued to assign groups. Guqin, you guide Yan Zhika. Lin Hua, you practice with Li Xiaowen. Li Mao, you and Lu Qing are in a group. Li Mao was a senior brother in his sophomore year. He had a square face, thick eyebrows, broad shoulders, and a hearty smile. He still remembered Lu Qing, the first student with no rank, so he walked directly to him and said with a smile, "Junior brother Lu, nice to meet you." I should be the one saying that. Lu Qing returned the courtesy and then changed the topic. "Senior brother Li, which amateur pin are you?" "3rd pin." Li Mao was quite proud. "Then you are second only to club president Chen and senior brother Wu Dong, and almost the same as senior brother Sun Jian?" Well, before Lin Ke came in, Lu Qing only knew the ranks of Qin Jianghua and Wu Dong because they were in charge of the recruitment. One of them was of amateur 1st pin and had the potential to reach professional 9th pin, but he injured his hand yesterday and might not be able to make it to the ranking event. The other was of amateur 2nd pin, which was not bad in the university. Lu Qing had just finished his words when he heard a heavy snort. He turned around and saw senior brother Wu Dong, who was not very tall, and the freshman he was guiding just happened to pass by and were heading to an open space. Looking at senior brother Wu Dong's gloomy face, Lu Qing didn't say anything subconsciously. When they were far away, Lu Qing heard Li Mao say with a sneer, Senior brother Wu Dong still looks like a ghost. What? Lu Qing asked in confusion. Li Mao looked around and lowered his voice. Qin Jianghua and Wu Dong are partly responsible for the decline of the martial arts society. They are narrow-minded and can't stand others doing well. No matter if they are old or new, as long as they show more potential than them, they will join hands to exclude them and force them not to participate in the activities of the martial arts society. There used to be a lot of talented sophomores, juniors, and seniors, but now they have wasted at least a year and their courses are tight so they can't improve anymore. Speaking of this, he laughed at himself. If I didn't have a good relationship with senior brother Sun Jian, I might have devoted myself to the professional courses. Senior brother Sun Jian can compete with Qin Jianghua and Wu Dong. Lu Qing was shocked. He didn't expect such a thing to happen in the martial arts society. Although senior brother Sun Jian is of amateur third pin like me, his father is a professor, so Qin Jianghua and Wu Dong don't dare to do anything to him. But senior brother Sun Jian doesn't like to meddle, so he helps me and Lin Hua, well, his girlfriend. Li Mao explained. In other words, Wu Meng, Jiang Fuxing, and Li Xiaowen were relatively ordinary and not a threat, which could be seen from the fact that they were only of amateur fifth pin. I see. No wonder Kai Zongming of amateur fifth pin received a call from the Martial Arts Society first. Lu Qing suddenly understood. Fortunately we have Lin Kai in this year. He beat Qin Jianghua directly. Li Mao smiled. So you can focus on practicing martial arts. Don't worry about Qin Jianghua and Wu Dong's bad luck. Well, I'll teach you some moves and force exertion techniques. Although they were called moves, they were actually the simplest things like straight punches, elbows, knees and so on. They were combined with footwork and force exertion techniques such as uppercuts, sliding steps and cushioning steps. The focus was on the latter, but if the footwork and posture were wrong, it would be difficult to exert force. Lu Qing studied diligently. Because of the yin-yang stance, his coordination ability was better than a beginner's, so he soon got the hang of it. He began to practice more to familiarize himself with it. Unknowingly, it was the last half hour. Li Mao called for a stop and asked Geezer Sure. Then he smiled and said, "Junior brother Lu, come, let's practice." "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Lu Qing suddenly tensed up. He was a little panicked but also a little excited. This was his first practice. Chapter 13. Seeing Lu Qing's expression, Li Mao couldn't help but laugh. "Junior brother Lu, don't be nervous. Being too nervous will affect your performance, resulting in stiff movements and distorted force. Of course, you have to be a little nervous during a martial arts competition. In our professional words, it stimulates the secretion of adrenaline. Therefore, a real martial artist must reach the level of tense but not panic. Alas, I can't do it. I'm so nervous that my body trembles when participating in an amateur ranking event. Fortunately, my opponents were either too weak or even more nervous than me." This was the experience of a senior brother. Lu Qing expressed his gratitude with his eyes and kept it in mind. Then he took a deep breath to suppress his panic and put on the starting posture taught by Li Mao. His feet were straight and his back was slightly arched, like a wild cat ready to strike. Li Mao also put on the starting posture and said calmly, "Let me show you some moves." After saying that, he took a step forward, put strength in his feet, twisted his waist, and punched his right hand toward Lu Qing's neck. It was the simplest move, straight to the middle palace. Lu Qing subconsciously wanted to dodge and quickly dodged to the side. But at this moment he suddenly tripped and lost his center of gravity. He didn't even have time to use the coordination and control ability of yin-yang stance, and fell to the ground. At some point, Li Mao's right foot had followed and quietly kicked out. It was not above the ankle and blocked the direction of Lu Qing's dodge. In a martial arts competition, it's not that you can't dodge and it's not that you have to face it head-on. But you must pay attention to the footwork and the opponent's movements. Tripping is a classic move. You just forgot your identity as a martial artist and dodged like an ordinary person. Your footwork was messed up and your eyes were only on my fist. Li Mao stretched out his right hand and pulled Lu Qing up, pointing out his mistake. Digest it and we'll continue. Lu Qing quietly pondered, recalling what had just happened and keeping the problem in mind. Then he put on the starting posture again. This time, Li Mao approached with agile footwork. Lu Qing opened his eyes wide and watched every move of his body. Is it the right fist or the left fist? Is it a kick or an elbow to the back? If it's the right fist, how can I dodge with footwork? If it's the left fist, will I have a chance to fight back? Thoughts flashed through Lu Qing's mind as he considered his own countermeasures. However, before he could think clearly, Li Mao had already closed in on him. With a spin of his feet, he stuck close to Lu Cheng's body. Then with an elbow strike, Lu Cheng took 2 steps back. Although Li Mao didn't use much strength, it still made Lu Cheng's chest feel stuffy and painful. Throughout the entire process, his thoughts were in chaos and he was at a loss. He was even worse than the first time and he couldn't even make a move to dodge. Lu Cheng was momentarily stunned. Li Mao turned around and smiled. Under normal circumstances, our thoughts are indeed faster. We can think of many things in a second and our bodies can't keep up with our brains. However, during a duel, it's usually the brain that can't keep up with the body. We think too much, hesitate, and can't make a decision. This is the meaning of repeated practice, and the meaning of battle experience. It allows us to internalize most situations into our instincts, and when we need to observe and judge, we can quickly make a decision. Junior brother Lu, don't worry. Everyone is like this during their first duel. I was even worse than you back then. Sometimes it's easy to imagine a martial arts competition. Lu Cheng laughed at himself. He understood where his problem lay. Once again he got into his starting position. Li Mao used the same technique again. He stepped forward and punched. The power started from his feet, went through his waist and went through his spine. Lu Cheng learned his lesson from the previous 2 times. He quickly made a decision. He suddenly lowered his body and was about to throw himself at Li Mao's legs. Suddenly he felt a heavy weight on his back. Li Mao changed his fist into a palm and pressed down. Lu Cheng's body was just about to leap forward, so he fell to the ground with a light push. He ate a mouthful of mud. Not bad. You maintained your footwork and made a quick decision. But you're still inexperienced. You can't predict the next changes. Li Mao praised Lu Cheng and pulled him up. Lu Cheng was in a good mood. Being able to see his own progress was truly a pleasure in life. Therefore he became more focused on the sparring session again and again. He slowly mastered the basic moves, the corresponding footwork, and the techniques of exerting force in actual combat. Class is almost over. This is the last time. Li Mao looked at the digital clock hanging on the wall of the martial arts gym. Lu Cheng nodded. He went through what he had learned and the practice in his mind. He had an impulse to try to do something on his own initiative. He stood still and visualized the Jindan in his lower abdomen. He half entered the state of steadfast mind. While feeling the subtle changes in his body, he kept an eye on Li Mao. Li Mao smiled at Lu Cheng's cautiousness. He stepped forward and punched again. Lu Cheng leaned his body and shifted his center of gravity to the right. Then he suddenly exerted force to change his muscles. He quickly adjusted his center of gravity to the left. With a sidestep, he dodged Li Mao's fist. However, Li Mao's right leg that followed up with a kick to the left of his own body missed. Chance. Li Mao didn't withdraw his right foot. His center of gravity was unstable. This is the chance. Lu Cheng lowered his shoulder and imitated Jianghu yesterday. He exerted force in his feet and bumped into Li Mao like a fierce bull. Li Mao saw this and hurriedly jumped sideways with the help of his right foot. Then he blocked the side with his hands. Bam! Lu Cheng bumped into Li Mao, but he could only push Li Mao 1 step back. Then Li Mao grabbed his shoulder and stretched out his left foot. He tripped Lu Cheng again and fell. Bam! Lu Cheng fell to the ground. He didn't look like he was in pain. Instead, he looked a little happy because he had perfectly executed the expected action. Not bad. This is only our first sparring session, and you almost made me fail miserably. Li Mao walked over with a smile and pulled Lu Cheng up. But you didn't have enough strength to make me lose my center of gravity. Lu Cheng patted the dust off his body and laughed. It's mainly because you used this move too many times. I had an idea. He had only started training a few days ago. Obviously, the increase in strength couldn't appear out of thin air. Senior Li Mao didn't seem to realize that he had used the yin-yang stance. Class is over. Go home and find your mothers. At this time, Geezer sure blew the whistle and shouted, "Remember to be on time tomorrow." Well, let's go wash up in the locker room. Li Mao pointed at Lin Kei's back. He was walking into the locker room. In the martial arts club, the locker room was a sacred place. Only qualified and permitted members could use it. If Lu Cheng didn't join the special training, he obviously couldn't enter. All the facilities in the martial arts club were funded by the school. Therefore, both the training field and the strength training gym were open to the whole school. Only the locker room was off limits. Of course, the training field and the strength training gym were open to the whole school for a limited time so as not to disturb the practice of the martial arts club members. After the practice, Lu Cheng didn't have the mood to hang around with the rough guy Li Mao. He turned to look at Yanjika and found that she and Guiqing seemed to have become friends. They were walking to the female locker room with a smile. Many male students were watching them covetously. They wanted to strike up a conversation but didn't dare to approach. No wonder the Casanova said that when you took the first step to strike up a conversation, you had already won more than 80% of potential love rivals. 80% of guys didn't even dare to strike up a conversation. They could only watch from afar and act all kinds of touching feelings in their hearts. After hinting to Li Mao that he had something to do, Lu Qing quickened his pace and caught up with Yanjika and Guiqing. He deliberately panted and said, "How was it? How was the practice?" There were only a dozen members in the special training. Guiqing saw Lu Qing and Yanjika standing together before, so she didn't feel strange and just watched with a smile. As for Li Mao, who was behind Lu Qing, he shook his head and sighed that these people were more interested in the opposite sex than in humanity. He slowly walked to the male locker room not far away. Yanjika pursed her lips and smiled. "I'm okay. You're more miserable. We saw you getting beaten up all the time." "Yeah, it's my first practice. I'm a bit flustered." While talking, Lu Qing suddenly frowned. He didn't feel the soreness until now. It should be the bruises caused by the practice just now. Seeing this, Yanjika smiled and said, "Are there a lot of soreness?" "Yes." Lu Qing answered honestly. "Is it because you don't have the medicine wine and ointment to remove bruises?" Yanjika smiled. "Yes." Lu Qing nodded honestly. Yanjika slightly raised her chin and looked around. "I know you guys don't remember to prepare these things until you need to use them. Haha, that's why I'm called a rough man." Lu Qing smiled and responded. Yanjika chuckled with some charm in her beauty. Then she said, "Wait a minute. I happen to have a jar of extra ointment made by a martial arts family. I guarantee that all your bruises will be gone by tomorrow." Okay. Lu Qing was stunned and suddenly burst with joy. Seeing Yanjika and Guiqing walking into the female locker room, Lu Qing had an impulse to hum a song. He laughed complacently. While laughing, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Strange gazes were cast at him from all directions. He turned around and saw the group of boys who wanted to strike up a conversation but didn't dare to. How long can your enthusiasm last? Maybe you won't come to the special training tomorrow or the day after." Lu Qing criticized them silently. A few minutes later, Yanjika came out with a dark brown glass jar in her hand. She handed it to Lu Qing. "Apply this to the bruises and massage for 5 minutes to dissolve the medicine." Lu Qing took the ointment and said in an exaggerated tone, Thank you. You are indeed the kind-hearted Yanjika." Yanjika spread out her hand. 30 yuan. You're welcome." Lu Qing was stunned with a blank face. Yanjika smiled again and her eyes curved. "I'm kidding. You are really ha." Lu Qing was infected by her smile and didn't feel embarrassed. After chatting for a while, they went back to their respective locker rooms. The locker room was very large. There were 3 metal benches against the wall at the entrance for the members of the martial arts club to rest, chat, arrange and explain their opponents during the competition. There were dozens of locked wardrobes on the opposite wall. Lin Ke, Qin Jianghua and other members of the special training of amateur rank had their own wardrobes. Lu Qing and the others could only use temporary wardrobes. After passing through this place, there were many cubicles. Each cubicle had a shower, a small compartment for toiletries and changing clothes. At the end of the cubicle was a toilet with 3 squatting seats. Lu Qing picked an open cubicle and was about to enter it when he saw Lin Ke coming out from the side. He was drying his hair and walking forward. Lu Qing nodded and greeted him subconsciously. Lin Ke also nodded slightly but didn't say anything. "Lin Ke doesn't look as arrogant as I thought." Lu Qing shook his head. He entered the cubicle, took off his clothes and turned on the shower. "It's great that I don't have to line up in the school bathroom." After the shower, he took out the jar of ointment and began to apply it with a smile. In the evening, Lu Qing went back to the dormitory after class. After washing up, he planned to relax. He gathered Kai Zongming, Qin Mo, Tang Wen, Qiu Zhigao and the others to play a game online. He would chat with Yanjika after he went to bed. A perfect day would pass. While he was enjoying the game, his phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw a strange number. "Who is it?" Lu Qing answered in confusion. "Hello, Lu Qing. It's time to go to bed. Prepare yourself for sleep." A hoarse voice came. It's Geezer sure?" Lu Qing answered subconsciously, Okay. Damn, he's calling to supervise my sleep. I can't live like this. Chapter 14. After hanging up the phone, Lu Qing clenched his teeth. But when he thought of the beautiful future he hoped for, he still got rid of the temptation of the game with great perseverance. He used the excuse of the crash in exchange for a few angry curses. He climbed into bed. There were still 10 minutes before Gizershir's bedtime. He sighed and took out his phone. He logged into QQ and clicked open a conversation with Yenjika. Another tired and sore day. Lying in bed, I feel like a dead dog. Woof woof woof. Yenjika replied with 3 words. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. You too. I chose the special training. I have to finish it even if I have to kneel. Yenjika sent a cute emoji with arms akimbo. Yeah, I have to finish this semester. Lu Qing didn't dare to brag. He changed the topic. I never thought you would be so different on the internet. That woof 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 just now made me laugh to death. As he spoke, he sent a crying and laughing emoji. Yenjika sent a shy emoji. I don't have the burden of an idol. Unconsciously, Lu Qing was in a good mood. They chatted until 10:30. With unparalleled perseverance, he said goodnight to Yenjika and fell into a deep sleep with hopes and dreams. The next day the alarm clock rang on time. Lu Qing woke up with a start. He quickly turned it off for fear of disturbing his roommates. If it weren't for the fact that the new campus was in the suburbs and couldn't rent a house, he would have moved out so as not to disturb others. Lu Qing climbed out of bed and washed his face with cold water. He was completely awake. Then he changed into the 3rd set of exercise clothes, which was also his last set. It was late autumn and the first set was still in use. It seemed that he had to buy another set to form a virtuous cycle. After brushing his teeth, Lu Qing picked up the key that Gizershir asked someone to give him and quietly left the room. He went down the stairs and opened the dormitory door under the dim light of the street lamps. He slowly ran to the lakeside in the silent mist. It was still a few minutes before 5:50, but Gizershir was already waiting there with a bicycle beside him. Master got here earlier than me? Lu Qing suddenly felt grateful. He ran over and bowed respectfully. Not bad. I didn't have to call to urge you. Gizershir laughed. Before I teach you the other stances, let's do some long-distance running. Long-distance running? Lu Qing asked in confusion. What was the point of long-distance running when he had the Jindan to recover fatigue? Gizershir took out a cigarette and lit it. In the body refining stage, it's enough to rely on explosive force, muscle strength, and footwork. But you have to remember that the key point of the Danchi stage is not the Qi, but the Dan. The harmony of the body is almost perfect, and the strength, willpower, and muscles are integrated into one. They work in harmony and have absolute reaction just like a big Dan. Therefore, it's hard for the body to reach this stage without endurance. Why is it that ordinary martial arts schools, high school martial arts clubs, university martial arts clubs, and ordinary martial arts dojos rarely produce martial artists of the Danchi realm, even if they don't lack good pole-standing skills? It's just that they lack similar knowledge. Don't be fooled by my simple words. A single sentence of truth is equivalent to 10,000 books of lies. Disciple understands. Lu Qing was troubled. But do we really have to run? Gizershir clicked his tongue and said, don't be afraid of difficulties, hardships, and tiredness. Which strong martial artist didn't go through this? Don't worry. I'll follow you and supervise you. Then he smiled maliciously. Of course. I'm old and weak. I don't have any stamina. You run. All right. He patted the bicycle beside him. He was very satisfied. Are you sure? Lu Qing looked at Gizershir with hesitation and sincerity. Run for me. You're so young. Don't be afraid of tiring. Gizershir pulled a long face. After a long time, Lu Qing continued to run in front of Gizershir with a straight face. Gizershir rode his bicycle and fell behind in the distance. He was out of breath as he pedaled. His lungs were like bellows. Stop, you brat. Stop. You want to tire me to death. Lu Qing stopped and held back his laughter. He deliberately panted and watched Gizershir climb mountains and wade through rivers to catch up. What did you eat when you were growing up? Why practice martial arts? Practice long-distance running. Gizershir was out of breath. It's you who let me run. Lu Qing's eyes were full of innocence. But this long-distance running was rewarding. Compared to before, his stamina had improved significantly. Unlike the day when he first got the Jindan, he was out of breath after a short jog and needed the Jindan to replenish his stamina. Today he ran at least several times the distance of normal jogging. In other words, the Jindan's recovery of fatigue would not affect the improvement of his stamina. Because of this recovery, his stamina improvement was far beyond normal. Thinking of this, Lu Qing almost couldn't hide his smile. After a while, Geezer finally calmed down. He said with a dark face, "You can't stop running in the future. But you can't be lazy." After that, he took Lu Qing to a quiet place nearby and explained the Thunder Sect's lightning and fire stance's ice sect's condensation stance in detail. The former was mainly to train the body's explosive force. The latter was to train the senses and improve concentration. Coupled with the yin-yang stance to control the body's coordination, strength training, long-distance running training, and footwork training, they formed a complete training system. According to Geezer, he replaced the Thunder Sect's Thunder stance with the Ice Sect's condensation stance. Although the effect was not better, it was more suitable for people like Lu Qing who had missed the best training time. In pole standing, every extra effort Lu Qing put in, he could clearly see the corresponding gains. Naturally, he was obsessed with it and didn't slack off. The following special training became more and more diligent. Because there was no class on Thursday night, he relaxed and filled with motivation. On Friday night, Lu Qing returned to the dormitory with his school bag slung over his shoulder. Before he entered the small room, he heard the laughter inside. "What's so lively?" He opened the door and saw Kai Zongming sitting in his seat. "Did you forget? Today we had a get-together with the girls in the dormitory." Model worker, Zhang Jingye replied with a smile. "Hey, how was it?" Although Lu Qing didn't want to go, he was very interested in this matter and was very concerned about their follow-up. Kai Zongming smiled proudly and said, "Qing with me there, how could the result be bad? Yeah, we're even considering giving Casanova a new nickname. You don't know, but he completely controls the atmosphere. Just by opening his mouth, he can make the girls in front of him laugh non-stop. For this kind of person, we feel that all his abilities and strengths are in his mouth." Zhao Chang, the head of the dormitory, was also full of smiles. "Therefore, according to the naming convention of the Battle of the Kings, we're going to call him Talker." "Are you praising me or insulting me?" Kai Zongming seemed to be very satisfied with this nickname. "Yes, once the Talker comes out, the pack of wolves will bow down," Lu Qing teased. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Don't think you can get away with it. I'm asking about the get-together dormitory." "Not bad." Old Xiu held back for a long time and squeezed out 2 words. Kai Zongming smiled and said, "Not bad indeed. There's a beauty, a real beauty." Yeah, Zhuang Xiaojun is really beautiful. She looks good without glasses, but she also looks good with glasses. Zhang Jingye echoed, "Unfortunately, I heard from Guqing that she has a boyfriend." "Not a boyfriend, just a suitor who is close to you," Zhao Chang retorted. Lu Qing was stunned. "Guqing? Why does this name sound so familiar?" "Yes, Guqing of the martial arts club, the one who trained with you." "What a coincidence, fate." Kai Zongming smiled and said, "She seems to like old Qiu." "Ah, no such thing." Qiu Zhigao quickly denied. "I feel the same. She has been asking old Qiu all kinds of questions. You two are a good match." Zhao Chang agreed. Zhang Jingye also said, "Old Qiu, don't deny it. When we last talked with Pan Shui, she also said that Guqing was satisfied with you. Old Qiu, just sacrifice your body. The dormitory will be closer in the future, and Chang, model worker, and Zhuang Xiaojun will have more chances to meet." Kai Zongming joked. Zhao Chang and Zhang Jingye laughed. Old Qiu looked at Lu Qing helplessly. "Qing, they are obsessed. Only you can do justice to them." Guqing and Yanzhika's relationship seems to be getting better. Lu Qing held back his laughter and said righteously, "Old Qiu, just give in. Get lost." Old Qiu was angry and amused. Lu Qing stopped joking and changed the topic. "Guqing, Zhuang Xiaojun, what about the other 2 girls? Pan Shui?" "One is Pan Shui, the other is Yu Fangfang. Yu Fangfang is introverted and looks, well, average." Kai Zongming said, "Pan Shui is small, lively, easy to get along with, and cute. But she has a boyfriend." Zhang Jingye interrupted, or some South Asian exchange student. From our school?" Lu Qing asked. "Yeah, those South Asian exchange students smell so bad. Every time I see them, I want to pinch my nose. I don't know why Pan Shui likes him." Zhao Chang sighed. Old Qiu added, "Guqing said they met at the foreign language corner." "Ah, the foreign language corner was created for this kind of thing," Zhao Chang said righteously. Yes. Our good girl, damn foreign language corner." Zhang Jingye and Old Qiu agreed. At this moment, Zhao Chang suddenly stood up, took out a book and was about to leave. "Hey Chang, where are you going?" Kai Zongming and Lu Qing asked at the same time, confused. Zhao Chang turned around and nodded solemnly. It's still early. I'm going to the foreign language corner to practice my English. Lu Qing almost spat out his saliva. Chang, why do you always betray the revolution with your thick eyebrows and big eyes? The rest of them laughed. Even Zhao Chang couldn't help but blush. At this moment Lu Qing's phone rang. It was Geezer Shi. Lu Qing thought to himself, is he trying to rush me to sleep again? Hello. There was someone else in the dormitory, so he didn't call his master. Geezer Shi said on the other end of the phone, book yourself a train ticket to Pingjiang City at 7:00 p.m. tomorrow. There's only one train at that time. Lu Qing was confused. Pingjiang City? Yes, Pingjiang City, Shanbei Province. Geezer Shi said in a low voice, don't ask why. Wait for me at the train station at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow. Chapter 15. After hanging up the phone, Lu Qing was still confused. Why was he suddenly asked to go to Pingjiang City? Worried thoughts popped up in his mind. Human traffickers, pyramid schemers, did Geezer Shi have another part-time job? Would there be any danger on this trip? Kai Zongming saw Lu Qing's expression and patted him on the shoulder. Let's go, Qing. Let's go out for a smoke. After thinking for a while, Lu Qing followed her out and came to the living balcony. He leaned on the railing with both hands and looked down at the courtyard of Building 7. It was still early before the lights out, so there were many students coming and going. Some were carrying hot water bottles, some were carrying books, some were carrying snacks, and some were in pairs, standing outside the gate under the gaze of the dormitory manager who was reluctant to leave. Songqing University's dormitory buildings were small communities. Each building had 4 units that surrounded a yard. There were flower beds, street lights, and table tennis tables. Lu Qing's unit was facing the gate. What's wrong, Qing? Kai Zongming took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. He didn't light it. Yesterday, Lu Qing told his roommates that he had started to quit smoking. Kai Zongming took it as a joke and mentioned it to his girlfriend in a video call. Then his girlfriend forced him to quit smoking, saying that he should learn from Lu Qing's example. Lu Qing decided to reveal a little. Casanova, forget it. I'll call you talker so you don't keep nagging me. Didn't I sign up for the special training of the martial arts club? Half of it was to pursue, you know. Half of it was because I found that I had the talent of keeping one mind when I was practicing the yin-yang stance. Then Geezer Shi also found it and decided to focus on training me. Kai Zongming's mouth twitched. Qing, we're still good friends if you don't brag. Really? Lu Qing tried to make his eyes look sincere. Kai Zongming stared at him. Really? Really? Lu Qing's tone was unusually firm. Wow, I didn't see it coming, Qing. Kai Zongming knew Lu Qing's character and finally believed him. He patted Lu Qing on the shoulder and smiled. Don't forget your friends when you're rich. If you can become the pillar of the martial arts club in the future, I'll be proud of you when I tell others. It seems that there's a saying that it's easier for a simple-minded person to enter meditation. Can't you say something nicer? Lu Qing glanced at him. Yes. You can't judge a book by its cover. I have eyes but fail to recognize Mount Tai. Brother Lu Qing, no, Master Qing, let me ride on your coattails. Kai Zongming said exaggeratedly. The two laughed for a while. Lu Qing continued, Geezer Shi called me out of the blue just now and asked me to book a train ticket to Pingjiang City with him tomorrow night. Pingjiang? Kai Zongming asked subconsciously. The capital of Shanbei Province? Yeah, I don't know where to go, so I'm a little worried. Lu Qing sighed. Geezer Shi was invited by the headmaster himself, so there shouldn't be any problem. Besides, Qing, you don't have the looks, talent, or money. Why would I kidnap you? Maybe it's because of the university martial arts competition. Shanbei University is in Pingjiang. Kai Zongming said sarcastically. That makes sense. Lu Qing nodded. Could it be that Geezer Shi wanted to check out the details of Shanbei University, the champion of last year's university martial arts competition, so he brought his cheap disciple along for a free trip? But why did he have to pay for the ticket himself? Seeing Lu Qing heave a sigh of relief, Kai Zongming suddenly changed the topic and said with a wretched smile, I've heard that some perverted old men are obsessed with the bodies of children or young people of the same sex because of their aging bodies. They want to reminisce about their past. Do you think Geezer Shi will? Bah. Lu Qing almost vomited just thinking about Kai Zongming's description, but he was inexplicably scared and worried. What if? It was better to be safe than sorry. Kai Zongming laughed and then said in a sly tone, "But don't worry, Qing. Even if Geezer sure is a pervert, his target should be Lin Quebec. I'm a talented and good-looking guy, so I won't fall for you." "Thank you for your comfort," Lu Qing said, gnashing his teeth. After Kai Zongming's interruption, he recovered his mood. He washed his face with the hot water left in the bottle, soaked his feet, brushed his teeth and went to bed. He didn't dare to turn on the computer for fear that he would be too tempted by this bitch to sleep. Lu Qing lay flat, took out his phone and went straight to QQ without checking the forum. "Let me tell you a piece of gossip." Lu Qing sent a laughing emoji to Yenjika. After a few seconds, Yenjika replied, "What kind of gossip? From high school?" No. When I went back to the dormitory after class, I found that those guys had a social gathering with the girls' dormitory tonight. It's from the Chinese department, Guiqing's dormitory." Lu Qing considered his tone, implicitly mentioning that he didn't join the social gathering. Yenjika sent a dumbfounded emoji. "What a coincidence. How did you guys end up at Guiqing's dormitory?" "Our dormitory's old Chio saw that someone had written a girl's dormitory phone number on the desk in the classroom. They were afraid that it was a prank, so they changed the ending number and replaced it with the number 32 of our dormitory room 302. Then it turned out that Guiqing's dormitory was right opposite." Lu Qing shared the whole story. "You two dormitories seem to be fated to meet. Did they agree to the social gathering just like that?" Yenjika asked excitedly. Lu Qing replied with a snickering emoji. "Maybe it's because I've just entered the school in my first year. Everything is new to me and I'm curious about everything. I'm also interested in this kind of random social gathering. When I'm in my second year, I'm more experienced and knowledgeable." "That's true." Yenjika sent an emoji of crossing her fingers and holding her chin in deep thought. "If we meet in our dormitory, I'll probably agree. It's quite interesting. By the way, it said that Guiqing has taken a liking to our dormitory's old Chio." Lu Qing revealed important gossip. Yenjika sent an emoji of shining eyes. "Really? It said that. Several guys in our dormitory can feel it. Her roommates also say so in private." Lu Qing wasn't sure. "Oh." Yenjika replied quickly. "What do you think of old Chio? I have to help Qing check him out. He's quite strong, which makes him a good match for Guiqing. He's also quite honest and easy to get along with. He's half a study maniac." Lu Qing told her his impression of old Chio. Of course, as the source of their dormitory's seeds, old Chio was a good person who benefited everyone. This kind of thing was not worth mentioning. With this gossip, the two chatted happily. Before they knew it, it was already 10:30. Lu Qing endured the heartache and reluctantly said goodnight, saying that the special training and classes were too busy and tiring. After another round of sparring, Geezer Sure announced that today's special training and Saturday's martial arts class were over. The special training on Sunday was postponed to 9 o'clock because he had something to do. This news immediately caused a burst of cheers. For the members who participated in the special training, they could finally sleep for one more hour. After a few days of suffering, most of the freshmen who had clamored to join had left. Only 2 were still persisting. But according to Lu Qing's observation, he would probably not see them next week. At this time he saw Yenjika and Guiqing walking over together. They didn't need to be close to him like before. "Qing, right? So it's your dormitory's social gathering." As soon as they met, Guiqing said straightforwardly, "What a coincidence. By the way, why didn't you join?" "I happened to have something to do, so I let little Ming haha Kai Zongming take the place." Lu Qing glanced at Yenjika and saw that her expression was normal. Guiqing did not ask further. She smiled and said, "We're all members of the martial arts club and we're all in the same dormitory. It's fate that brings us together. Besides, we had a good chat last night. Why don't we pick another time? Next weekend or the weekend after that? Our dormitory mates can go hiking or karaoke. Or find a place with barbecue for a picnic." This girl is quite straightforward and very active. Lu Qing hesitated and didn't directly agree. He was thinking about what excuse he could find to not go. And this kind of thing had to be discussed with old Chiu Chang and model worker. He couldn't make a decision on his own. But judging from their praise for Zhuang Xiaojun, they would definitely follow. Just as he was hesitating, Guiqing turned to Yenjika and said, "Kai Zongming was there yesterday. It's not good to not invite him next time. Including Cheng, there will be 5 boys. Although it doesn't matter if there are fewer girls, you and Cheng are old classmates. Why don't you go together?" Yenjika said with interest, Okay, it's my first social gathering. Then it's settled. Next week or the week after that. Lu Qing agreed without hesitation. As for Chang and Xiaoming's opinions? Who cares if they die? Guoqing's face was full of joy. Okay, let's go back and calculate the schedule. We'll see which day is suitable. This conversation was really pleasant. A group of boys in the peak of their hormones naturally agreed to the request of the social gathering dormitory without any hesitation. Kai Zongming was also very interested in similar activities. Saturday afternoon was a rare break for Lu Qing. He browsed the forum, read novels, chatted with Yan Zhika, and played games with his roommates who didn't go out. He felt relaxed and comfortable, which he hadn't felt in a long time. At 5 o'clock, he stuffed his change of clothes into his school bag and went out to take the school bus to the downtown area. Then he booked a taxi online to go to the train station. Fortunately, Mom gave me an extra 800 yuan this month. Otherwise, I wouldn't have enough money. Lu Qing followed the crowd and went through the security check step by step. He touched his wallet while he was at it. When he arrived at the ticket gate, it was only 6 o'clock. He chatted on the forum and QQ group while waiting for Gizershur's arrival. At 6:40, Gizershur arrived in his old t-shirt. He praised Lu Qing. Not bad, you're very punctual. During the morning practice, Lu Qing was very focused and didn't ask much about going to Pingjiang. When he saw Gizershur, the crazy words of Kai Zongming suddenly flashed in his mind. He couldn't help but take a step back and put some distance between them. Why are you looking at me like that? Gizershur looked at him in confusion. No, nothing. I'm just curious about what we're going to do in Pingjiang. Lu Qing said dryly. Damn it, it's all because of little Ming's nonsense. I'm a little confused because of him. I'll let you know when it's time. Gizershur didn't care. When the time came, Lu Qing got on the bus and sat down. Lu Qing was very nervous and uneasy. He only answered Gizershur's questions. Fortunately, their tickets were not in the same carriage. He let out a long sigh of relief. It was only an hour and a half from Songqing to Pingjiang. Lu Qing took a short nap and arrived at this historical provincial capital. They got on the taxi. As expected, Gizershur's destination was Shanbei University. Lu Qing relaxed a little. But soon he became nervous again because they stepped into a hotel that looked like a guest house. If it was a standard room with 2 beds, 1 room, Lu Qing felt a little nervous. 2 rooms. Gizershur took out the money and ID. Hearing this, Lu Qing finally calmed down. He cursed Kai Zongming in his heart for spouting nonsense. Starting tomorrow at the usual time, Gizershur said before entering the room. It was a silent night. Lu Qing could occasionally hear the heart-wrenching coughs next door. The next day at 5:40 a.m., he finished washing up and left the hotel with Gizershur. They entered the campus of Shanbei University. They came to a corner of a big sports ground. Gizershur observed for a moment and pointed at a boy who was practicing slow motion in the distance. Do you see that guy? Lu Qing gazed over and saw that Shanbei University was still submerged in the night scenery. Under a ginkgo tree, yellow leaves fluttered in the wind. A boy in a white martial arts suit was practicing his martial arts. Lu Qing could barely see his face because of the darkness, but he could feel his high level of martial arts from his punches and kicks. I see him. He answered, puzzled. He came to Pingjiang just to see this boy? Gizershur chuckled. His name is Peng Liyun. He entered Shanbei University last year. At that time, he had already reached the realm of body refining Big Dan and Qi generation. He was a professional 8th pin fighter. After that, he defeated the head of the martial arts club and led Shanbei University to the semi-finals. He won the National University Martial Arts competition. Is Peng Liyun? Lu Qing had heard this name many times in the forum. He didn't expect to see the real person today. He was said to be a genius among geniuses. He had a good chance of reaching the top 3 pin. Gizershur nodded slightly. He is a direct disciple of the Shanqing sect and the nephew of the current warrior sage Qian Donglu. He liked to think since he was young and often said, martial arts need to be derived from nature. What is nature? Physics and biology. That was why he chose to enter the physics department of Shanbei University last year. The reason I brought you here is to show you that this kind of true genius, a genius with status and background, does not slack in the slightest on the martial path. No matter how much he likes to play, go to bars and play games, he will start on time at 5:30 every day. No matter what day you come, you can see him. You see, we came here on a whim, but we still saw him. Even such geniuses are working so hard. If you want to catch up to them, how can you not suffer more and suffer more? Lu Qing was surprised at Peng Liyun's background at first, but he was gradually shaken by Gizershur's words. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, and if he had been mentally prepared, such a scene might not have had such an effect. But when he and others came to Shanbei on the spur of the moment, they still saw Peng Liyun getting up at 5 o'clock a.m., working day and night and persisting in training. He could not help but be shocked. Only when there was a comparison could there be enlightenment. This was a real genius. He was like this, let alone himself. You saw and understood. Then you can go back. Gizershur turned around and left with his hands behind his back. Chapter 16. After the trip to Pingjiang, Lu Qing felt that he had calmed down, really calmed down from the inside out. In the past, he had gritted his teeth and persevered with great perseverance in the face of hard training every day. He was even firmer because every little bit of effort paid off. But in the end, he had to be patient in order to achieve the professional 9th pin in 1 or 2 years. For the sake of winning Yenjika's favor, for the sake of a bright future, he was eager for quick success and instant benefits. This kind of mentality could indeed drive him to practice hard in a short time. But when he encountered certain setbacks, when his achievements were not as expected, he would inevitably feel even more depressed and lost, tormenting his mind and bringing unpredictable consequences. Guard against arrogance and rashness. It was a good rule from ancient times. He was not arrogant, but he was restless. After calming down, Lu Qing gradually integrated the daily training into his life. He was calm, gentle, and firm. Even his temperament seemed to have changed, which made Kai Zongming quite surprised. He often teased, "Did Qing encounter the unspoken rules? Why do I feel that his temperament has changed a lot?" Facing his words, Lu Qing only said a few words indifferently, "Come here, I'll strangle you." 2 weeks passed unknowingly. Lu Qing felt that he seemed to have broken through a bottleneck and stepped into a new level in yin-yang stance, thunder and fire stance, and condensation stance. His ability to coordinate his body at will improved significantly. His temporary explosive force in 2 or 3 moves improved significantly. His concentration and calmness in martial arts competitions improved significantly. His slightly myopic eyes seemed to have recovered their original clarity. Sometimes he could even feel others' gazes. It was Saturday morning again. It was close to 12 o'clock. Li Mao stopped smiling and said solemnly, "Qing, this is the last time." Lu Qing nodded slightly and got into position, waiting for the second-year senior brother to feed him. Li Mao did not simply go straight for the middle like 2 weeks ago. With a step he swam to Lu Qing's left side. His right hand became a palm knife, diagonally chopping toward Lu Qing's neck. Lu Qing did not panic. He raised his left arm and blocked Li Mao's palm. But before he could counterattack, Li Mao took another step and came behind him. But when Li Mao's foot landed, Lu Qing kicked back without warning. It seemed that he had been prepared. "All right." He praised and took another step forward, dodging the kick. Then he used his footwork and circled around Lu Qing like a dragon. At this point, Lu Qing no longer had to deliberately maintain his half-silent and half-alert state. His mind seemed to be divided and converging at the same time. He focused on observing his opponent's movements while calmly and quickly making decisions, countering each move as it came. He firmly defended himself and didn't get flustered by Li Mao's swimming body palm. After fighting for a while, Li Mao's footwork suddenly changed. He suddenly slid closer and followed up with a rushing step cannon fist. His fist was like a cannon and the wind roared. It had the power to split open a mountain. Lu Qing didn't dare to take it head-on. He turned sideways and pushed his wrist. However, one of Li Mao's feet had already come in between his legs. If he placed it well, it could be used as a fulcrum for his throwing technique. At the same time, it could also affect Lu Qing. Lu Qing wouldn't dare to use his various footwork, making it difficult for him to exert his strength. Seeing this, Lu Qing's mind was full of ideas and countermeasures. However, he didn't hesitate and made a decision in an instant. He took a step back. Li Mao took a step forward and he took another step back. Again. It was as if the two were dancing a tacit dance, and the distance between them didn't change much. Li Mao exhaled and stopped trying. He slid closer and used his feet as a source to drive his waist and back. His fists alternated like a chain of cannons, hitting rapidly. Lu Qing felt like he was in a storm and could be overturned at any time. He had to use all his strength to maintain his balance. However, he didn't lose his composure. He used his fists, elbows and arms alternately to block. There was a sense of rhythm. His footwork wasn't messed up, and he kept himself in a relatively suitable position to exert strength. Under this kind of attack, if his footwork was messed up and he couldn't exert strength, he would be defeated in an instant. Lu Qing struggled to hold on with the chain cannon fist, tiger roar and wind roar. He completely forgot about the passage of time. Just when he felt that he was about to reach his limit, Li Mao retreated and the pressure suddenly disappeared. He looked at him blankly and saw Li Mao shaking his head and smiling. Time's up. The coach blew the whistle and dismissed the class. This is our first tie. Lu Qing heaved a sigh of relief. Only then did he feel sore in his hands. He shook them and smiled. Thanks for your mercy. This wasn't modesty but the truth. Because it was just a teaching practice, Li Mao didn't use his full strength. It was more like a form of feeding. You can't say that. If I didn't practice with you every day for more than 2 weeks and feel your obvious improvement every day, I definitely wouldn't believe that you are the same Qing from before. Li Mao said with emotion. More than 2 weeks ago you were a super rookie who didn't even fight much. You weren't fast, you weren't strong and your reaction was slow. But now, you are worthy of the evaluation of proficient fist and foot. Proficient fist and foot. Lu Qing chewed on these words and felt a little joy in his heart. Although, proficient fist and foot sounds like a description for a beginner, it is one of the standard evaluation for an amateur ninth pin. Li Mao said with a smile. Senior brother, you mean I've reached the level of an amateur ninth pin? Lu Qing asked with surprise. In less than 3 weeks, he had already reached the level of an amateur ninth pin? Li Mao nodded. Proficient fist and foot means you have the ability to use your moves skillfully and reasonably in a fight without messing up your footwork. This alone is better than 90% of the guys who fight randomly, so you must be an amateur ninth pin. Haha, but an amateur ninth pin doesn't necessarily mean proficient fist and foot. Some people have 2 obvious physical advantages. And the ranking event is a competition, not a form of evaluation. They take advantage of the fact that others can't break their defense and can knock down their opponents with one punch. They don't pay much attention to the proficiency of fist and foot movements. Well, I'll say it again. If I didn't practice with you every day, I'd probably ask my girlfriend to come out and watch The Emperor. Do you know how long it took me to reach the level of an amateur ninth pin from a beginner? I started martial arts at the age of 10 and passed the ranking event of amateur ninth pin at the age of 15. Although I didn't practice every day, it was 5 years. 5 years. You've only been practicing for 3 weeks. Lu Qing wasn't ecstatic. Instead, he smiled calmly and said, it's different. Most people who practice martial arts at a young age are in the growth period of their bodies. Their strength and other physical qualities grow little by little. It takes several years for them to be comparable to adults. But I'm already an adult. I don't need to wait for my body to grow up. Although it's true, it still proves that you have a strong talent. It's a pity that you didn't learn martial arts at the beginning. You missed the best time to practice martial arts. Li Mao said with regret. Then he patted Lu Qing on the shoulder and walked back to the locker room. Looking at his back, Lu Qing recalled the joy just now in his heart. 3 weeks to reach the level of an amateur ninth pin. When school starts next year, what rank will I be? Let's not talk about the long term. For now, my improved explosive force, calmness and concentration, as well as my improved coordination, haven't been fully integrated into my moves and footwork. There's always a faint barrier between them. When I break through this barrier and integrate them into one, what level of amateur pin will I be? Thinking about these things, Lu Qing walked quickly to the female locker room and caught up with Yan Zhika and Guqin. The weather is so good today. It seems that God is blessing us, he said with a smile. After arranging everyone's time, the get-together was set for this afternoon. They would gather at 1:30 p.m. and go boating at Zhaoshan Lake. They would have a good meal in the evening. Considering that Lu Qing, Yan Zhika and Guqin had to get up early for special training, they didn't go to karaoke after dinner. Yan Zhika's black hair was tied up in a ponytail, which made her look more playful and energetic. I've always been the Teru Bozu. I've never seen rain in all the spring and autumn outings I've participated in since I was young. You should thank me. Lu Qing was about to take advantage of the situation and say, okay, I'll treat you to dinner or send you snacks, to thank you to show my sincerity. But Guqin interrupted impatiently. We're going to meet later. What's the rush? You guys are not troublesome. It's just a meal. We have to clean up and wash our hair. Lu Qing almost blushed at her words. He smiled and said, Then I'll go take a shower first. See you in the afternoon. See you in the afternoon. Yanjika waved her hand with a smile. Lu Cheng resisted the urge to look back and entered the locker room. He sighed slightly in his heart. Through persistent conversations, greetings, pleasantries, and the natural closeness of a classmate, his relationship with Yanjika was getting better and better. She even started to call him by his nickname, Cheng. But he always felt that something was missing and couldn't go any further. Just like in high school, there was always some politeness between a boy and a girl who didn't flirt with each other but had a good relationship with each other. What should he do next? After taking a shower and having lunch, Lu Qing returned to the dormitory. He saw Zhao Chang, Zhang Jingye, and Qiu Zhigao were all choosing clothes to appear in front of the girls with their most energetic looks. Kai Zongming was beside them giving instructions. Not bad. Talker, you're so good. Lu Qing teased. Kai Zongming laughed. It's not that I'm good. It's just that they usually dress too single, including you. Lu Qing glanced at him and then turned to look at the busy dormitory. He lowered his voice and said to Kai Zongming, Casanova, do you think this guy wants to show off just because he knows some martial arts? Yeah. A hero uses martial arts to break the rules. Kai Zongming looked at Lu Qing from head to toe and pretended to be frightened. Qing, don't tell me you're thinking of putting that slogan into practice? You'll go to jail. What are you thinking about? Lu Qing laughed and scolded him. What I mean is, when I didn't know any martial arts, if I went out with Yanjika, I definitely hoped that it would be a safe trip. No black cars, no hooligans, no road robbers. In short, it would be a smooth trip without any twists and turns. But now, I'm kind of looking forward to meeting some hooligans in the afternoon. If I meet some brainless rich second-generation official, then I can be the hero to save the beauty. Kai Zongming didn't refute. He just calmly replied, wake up. Your goddess is better than you. And there's old Qiu, an amateur sixth pin, and me and Guqing. You won't be the hero to save the beauty. You're right? Lu Cheng's mouth twitched. Well, there's no way to trick him. Chapter 17. Watching Zhao Chang change his clothes and take the gel to the bathroom, Lu Qing suddenly felt a little nervous. He wasn't as calm as when he was practicing martial arts, neither arrogant nor impatient. Talker Casanova, what should I wear? He asked shamelessly. Kai Zongming crossed his arms and said proudly, now you know to ask me? Wear your martial arts suit if you have the ability. People like Chang, model worker, and old Qiu, who have neither good looks nor temperament, should wear light-colored clothes. At least they look clean and energetic. You used to be like them, but have you taken the wrong medicine recently? You're so obsessed with practicing martial arts that you've become like a human and a dog. You've become more sophisticated. You can wear dark-colored clothes. Just wear that black casual shirt of yours and that short leather jacket, the brown one, which looks more energetic. Hey, don't tuck in the shirt and don't pull up the leather jacket, it's old-fashioned. Lu Qing changed his clothes according to Little Ming's guidance. He looked at himself in the mirror and found that he looked pretty good. He had a sense of calmness, but he did not lose the vigor of a college student. As for Zhao Chang, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye, although they all followed the basic principle of cleanliness, Kai Zongming deliberately chose them to distinguish them. He did not want to be mistaken as a dormitory uniform or work uniform. After getting ready, they followed Kai Zongming out of the dormitory excitedly and nervously. They went to the agreed meeting place. Talker, what should I do later? Lu Qing asked in a low voice, taking 2 quick steps and walking side by side with Kai Zongming. Kai Zongming laughed and said, be generous, be generous. Men can't be timid. Besides, your goddess is not familiar with Guqing's dormitory, let alone us. In this strange environment, she will naturally be close to and rely on her acquaintances. Guqing's attention is on old Qiu, so here's your chance. Boldly approach her, talk to her, and lead the conversation. Just like how you chat on QQ, she will only be happy and not cold. As for the specific details, I can't guide you, so it's up to you. Just remember the general principle of being generous and generous. Chat on QQ like how I chat on QQ? Damn, I feel like I won't be able to chat without emojis. Lu Qing took a deep breath. Then remember a rule. When you don't know how to answer, make her laugh. Guys can be humorous, but they can't be vulgar, at least not before you two are very intimate. Kai Zongming patted Lu Cheng's shoulder and said, calm down and relax. Anyway, I don't have high hopes for you. It doesn't matter if you fail. Just treat it as gaining experience. Lu Cheng glanced at him in disdain. After being mocked by him like this, the tension in his heart faded a lot. They agreed to meet at the east gate of the school. After waiting for about 10 minutes, 5 girls walked over gracefully. Lu Qing noticed Yenjika at first glance and completely ignored the other girls. Because she was going to row a boat, she didn't wear a skirt. Instead, she wore a pair of slim-fit light-colored jeans, a pair of small white shoes and a white t-shirt. The pattern on the front of her chest was slightly inlaid with sequins. She wore a light green jacket on the outside. Her hair was down and she didn't have bangs. She looked delicate and lively with a bit of purity and cleanliness. Those who dare to show their foreheads are real beauties. Kai Zongming laughed in a low voice. Zhao Chang, Qiu Zhigao and Zhang Jingya also saw Yenjika at first glance. No matter where she went, she was always the center of attention. They slightly opened their mouths and looked at Lu Cheng in surprise. Although they knew that Lu Cheng's old classmates would participate in this social gathering, they didn't expect it to be such an old classmate. Beside her, Zhuang Xiaojun, who they thought was very pretty, was completely overshadowed by her. Qing. Zhao Chang shouted. Lu Qing looked at him blankly. Zhao Chang said bitterly, I understand now. A dog that doesn't bark really bites. You said I betrayed the revolution. You are the real traitor. His words made Kai Zongming and the others burst into laughter. Lu Qing couldn't help but blush. When the 5 girls came closer, Lu Qing silently said 3 words. Be generous, be bold. While saying these words, he stepped forward and greeted them with a practiced smile. He said to Yenjika, I thought girls would be a few minutes late. I didn't expect you to be early. Fortunately, we are early. Obviously, Yenjika didn't feel awkward at all. Instead, she relaxed a bit because of the acquaintance. She pointed at Guqing beside her and said with a smile, Ah Qing is always resolute. She dragged us here. She even washed her hair at noon for this get-together. As soon as this was said, the few girls beside her snickered. A short girl even echoed, Yes, a special shampoo is very important. Guqing was a bit shy even though she was a straightforward person. She quickly introduced them to Lu Cheng. This is Zhuang Xiaojun. That bitch is Pan Shui. This is Yu Fangfang. Lu Cheng glanced around casually. Zhuang Xiaojun was wearing glasses. She looked refined and delicate. Her facial features were indeed good-looking. Pan Shui had neat bangs and baby fat. She wasn't tall and was going for the cute route. Yu Fangfang's skin was darker and she wore black-rimmed glasses. After greeting them with a smile, Lu Qing quickly introduced his roommates to Yenjika. That foppish guy is Kai Zongming. That guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes is Zhao Chang, our leader. Don't be fooled by his righteous face. In fact, he is the one who instigated this social gathering. Zhang Jingye Qiu Zhigao Old Qiu. They are honest, but they are all in love. The slightly teasing introduction made the girls laugh. Zhao Chang and the others were both angry and amused. The atmosphere suddenly became lively. Yenjika covered her mouth and laughed for a while. She lowered her voice and said to Lu Qing, Aren't you afraid of their revenge? Don't worry. I am an upright person. They don't have anything to blackmail me. Lu Qing pretended to be righteous. Kai Zongming secretly gave him a thumbs up and mouthed, Qing, you are good. Zhao Chang and the others also took the opportunity to make fun of Lu Qing and liven up the atmosphere. But they all had a tacit understanding and there was a limit. They only made fun of each other on a superficial level. No one really mentioned the embarrassing things that would ruin the girls' impression of each other. While talking, Lu Qing noticed that Yenjika was carrying a small black bag on her back, which made her look charming. In her hand was a white cardboard bag with unknown contents. He took a deep breath and pretended to be normal. He pointed at the white bag and said, Let me help you carry it. Otherwise, if a girl carries something and a boy is empty-handed, we may be criticized on the internet. People may say that the boys in our country are not gentlemanly. Yenjika glanced at his frank and slightly humorous words. Then she smiled and said, Okay, Qing, gentlemanly? Yes. Lu Qing shouted in his heart. He reached out and took the white bag. He smiled and joked, That's not right. Nowadays, gentlemanly means perverted. I am righteous. The girls were again amused by his self-deprecating words. Kai Zongming quickly signaled Zhao Chang, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye to take the other girls' bags. He himself was responsible for Yu Fangfang's. After chatting for a few minutes, the 3 cars that Lu Cheng and the others had arranged for arrived. All 3 cars were parked outside the east gate. Kai Zongming had already instructed Lu Cheng on how to distribute the cars. Lu Qing plucked up his courage and pulled Qiu Zhigao with a smile. Old Qiu, let's share a car. While speaking he gave Yan Zhika a wink. Yan Zhika immediately understood. She held Guqing and said, Qing, let's also take that car. The others immediately joined in. Old Qiu couldn't refuse and had to follow Lu Qing on the left side of the back row. Lu Qing thought for a while and sat in the passenger seat. Yan Zhika pulled Guqing, who was a little shy, and squeezed her in the middle. She squeezed herself in the right side. The engine sounded and the car started moving. Lu Qing didn't care about the distribution of the remaining 6 people. He took out his phone and secretly sent a message to Yan Zhika. Old Qiu and Guqing are both strong. You are so pitiful to be squeezed in the back row. Yan Zhika's phone vibrated. She took it out and glanced at it. Suddenly, a smile appeared on her face. She also joined in the conversation and quietly replied, Alas, fortunately I am slim. For Qing's happiness I have to endure it. You don't know how straightforward and outgoing she is. Today she doesn't dare to speak. If I don't accompany her, she definitely won't dare to take this car. Lu Qing and Yan Zhika tacitly created a topic to guide Qiu Zhigao and Guqing to talk, while they secretly communicated on QQ. It was as if they were on the same side and shared some secrets, which made Lu Qing feel that the relationship between them seemed to be closer. Because the journey was not long enough, the group of 10 people arrived at Zhaoshan Lake in just over half an hour. They rented orange life jackets and 5 two-person rowing boats by the lake. The girls left their paper bags and backpacks at the lake. Kai Zongming took charge of the situation and distributed the boats with a smile. Since it's a friendship party, it must be a combination of men and women. Let's see which boat can row around the island first. Old Qiu, you and Guqing will be in a group. Well, we are both strong. It's not fair for you to be in a group. Old Qiu made a last-ditch struggle. To be honest, Guqing's facial features were not bad, but her body was a little thick. You're a rough man and you've never rowed a boat before. Maybe you'll offset Guqing's efforts. Besides, I've asked around. Guqing knows how to swim. You're a landlubber. With her protecting you, we can rest assured. Kai Zongming's nonsense attracted the agreement of the girls. Old Qiu was confused and agreed. Kai Zongming continued, Lu Qing, you and Yan Zhika are classmates, so you're more familiar with each other. You're in the same boat. Model worker, you're the big guy from the northwest. Help our petite classmate, Pan Shui. Chang, you lead Zhuang Xiaojun and show your talent as a top student. You Fong Fong, we're in the same team. We can't lose. Usually, in such a crowded situation, many people didn't have their own opinions and just went with the flow. Or they had their own opinions but were too shy to speak out. Therefore, 1 or 2 active, positive and bold people could take charge of the situation. Today Kai Zongming was like that. He forcibly finished the distribution and no one had much objection. Kai Zongming patted Lu Cheng's shoulder quietly and whispered in his ear, Cheng, this is all I can do for you. Chapter 18. It was late autumn. The sky was clear and the air was cool. The waves of Zhaoshan Lake were rising and falling. Lu Qing wanted to help Yan Zhika onto the boat, but she was as agile as a deer. With a light leap, she stood firmly on the boat, barely causing it to sway further. Sure enough, her martial arts level is higher than mine. Not only can't I save the beauty, I don't even have the chance to help her. Lu Qing mocked himself. Considering his strength, he boarded the boat according to the rules and sat opposite Yan Zhika, each with an oar. I was going to give you a hand. Yan Zhika snickered and made fun of him. The lake breeze blew her black hair that reached her back. So a beauty saves a hero? Lu Qing pretended to be shocked. Casanova said that when you don't know how to answer, you have to make her laugh. As expected, Yan Zhika couldn't help but chuckle and ask, Qing, do you know how to row a boat? No. Lu Qing answered honestly. Before high school he didn't have the time. During the summer vacation after graduation he spent more than 2 months binge-watching highlights of martial arts competitions and all kinds of news. He kept meeting with his childhood friends and gradually immersed himself in the online world. How could he have the time and interest to go boating? Yan Zhika pursed her lips and blinked her black eyes. She said seriously, what a coincidence. I don't know how to. Lu Qing laughed. Aren't you a Jiangnan girl? Kai Zongming, Yu Fangfang, Zhao Chang, and Zhuang Xiaojun had already rowed slowly. Qiu Zhigao, Guqing, Zhang Jingye, and Pan Shui were circling around. But I grew up in Xioshan. Besides, there are many Jiangnan girls who don't know how to swim or row. My 2 cousins don't know how to do it. Yanjika said with anger and amusement. Lu Qing knew when to stop and didn't ask about Yanjika's family situation. He smiled and said, "It seems that nothing can be generalized. Well, since it's such a coincidence that you don't know how to row, it'll be interesting to learn how to row together." Yanjika nodded slightly. She held the oars with both hands and pointed to Zhao Chang and Zhuang Xiaojun with her chin. "Look at them. They row well. Let's learn." Okay. Lu Qing looked over and followed Zhao Chang's movements, moving the oars. The oars entered the water, creating green waves and ripples. However, the hull of the boat did not move forward. Instead, it swayed in place. Yanjika joined in the paddling. She was like a young girl picking up a chestnut. The sky and the water were like a beautiful painting. However, their boat still didn't move forward. It was spinning in circles. They looked at each other helplessly and found it funny. Lu Qing was determined to show that he had long thought about rowing the boat. At this moment he was not in a hurry. He sank his mind into his dantian, visualized the Jin Dan, and entered meditation. Immediately the surroundings became peaceful. The vast nebula rotated slowly, and the details of every part of his body appeared bit by bit. He could feel the ups and downs of the boat and the surrounding waves through their contact with each other. As the boat swayed, the oars dropped, stirring up ripples on the water. Lu Qing saw how the power circulated in his mind. He used this to slightly change his direction and posture to match the boat's movement. At the same time, he found that Yanjika, who was on the opposite side, suddenly became proficient. Every stroke of the oar complemented the boat, the waves, and his side. Opening his eyes, Lu Qing met Yanjika's eyes. "You've reached the initial level of yin-yang stance? You've mastered yin-yang stance?" Both of them opened their mouths at the same time. Each of them was surprised. Then they looked at each other and smiled. As a boy, Lu Qing took the initiative to answer before Yanjika asked again. "Actually, I'm very talented in meditation. I was able to conceal spirit and qi on my first try of yin-yang stance. Otherwise, how could I survive the 3 weeks of special training?" Yanjika's expression changed. Her bright black eyes showed obvious surprise. "You entered meditation on your first try?" "Yes." Lu Qing nodded sincerely. Unconsciously, Yanjika pouted her lips and exhaled. "I thought it was amazing that I could enter meditation on my first try in 10 days. Special case, special case. I'm not as good as you in other aspects. And it's really amazing that you could enter meditation on your first try in 10 days. Many famous masters only entered meditation on their first try in half a month." Lu Qing hurriedly comforted her. The two of them talked about various things that happened during the martial arts training. However, they neglected to ask about each other's progress. "You don't have to comfort me. Do I look like such a stingy person?" Yanjika laughed and dispelled her little depression. She nodded heavily and said, "From now on, you're my idol. It's rare to enter meditation in one day in the history of martial arts." "Don't. I can't accept it." Lu Qing was secretly proud. He modestly changed the topic. "What's your level now? I seem to remember that you didn't have a level when you signed up for the special training." It was definitely. The two of them rowed tacitly. The boat slowly set sail. Yanjika thought for a while and said, "I learned martial arts from my uncle when I was a child. I should have reached the level of amateur 9th pin when I graduated from junior high school. But I didn't attend the ranking event. So I didn't have much time to practice in high school. According to Qing, I should be between amateur 7th and 8th pin when she first practiced with me. But after I got started with yin-yang stance, I think I've improved a lot. Qing said yesterday that I've reached amateur 6th pin." When they were about to pass by each other, Qing suddenly raised the oar and splashed water at Lu Qing and Yanjika, forcing them to try to dodge and slow down the boat. "Qiu Zhigao, you row the boat. I'll stop them," Qing said arrogantly. Yanjika was annoyed and amused. She looked at Lu Qing and asked, "Do you want to fight back?" Looking at the eagerness in her eyes and actions, Lu Qing said without hesitation, "Yes. You row the boat well." Yanjika bit her lip with a smile in her eyes. She also used the oar to raise waves. Lu Qing put on his jacket and focused on observing the changes of the boat and the waves. He rowed at the right time to offset the shaking caused by Yanjika's movements and kept the boat moving forward. As for old Qiu and Guqing, as long as Guqing made a big movement, the boat would inevitably shake, so she had to be careful. Both of them had learned the basics of yin-yang stance, so they had a good grasp of coordination. With a good cooperation, they had an obvious advantage. Soon they overtook Guqing and old Xiao and caught up with the others, causing screams and splashes. They had a lot of fun with continuous laughter and curses. When they overtook everyone, they were the first to return to the starting point after circling the lake. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika looked at each other again and smiled. Again, I, Doraemon, am not satisfied. Kai Zhongming and Yu Fangfang were the second to arrive and said exaggeratedly in online language. Round after round, the girls had a lot of fun, but they were also tired. Seeing that the sun was setting, they suggested to go back early so that they wouldn't have to wait in line for the big meal in the evening. As for the cost, led by Lu Cheng and Kai Zhongming, the boys had already collected enough money. The boat stopped at the shore. Lu Cheng, the long-distance runner without any fatigue, got off the boat easily and reached out his hand to Yan Zhika. At this time she was exhausted. She shouldn't have the strength to jump off directly, right? Lu Cheng's heart beat faster, but Yan Zhika didn't feel bashful. She frankly grabbed his hand and got off the boat. At this moment, even though she had the advantage, she was splashed with a lot of water. Her hair was wet, with a few strands sticking to her cheeks, revealing an amazing beauty. It reminded people of the phrase, "A hibiscus comes out of clear water." What's wrong? Yan Zhika brushed the messy hair on her cheeks. Lu Cheng thought for a while and smiled politely. Every time I see a girl in a TV series with her hair still wet after washing, I think it's very beautiful. Yan Zhika's eyes were watery. She glanced at him. I'm going to change first. Lu Cheng suddenly understood. That bag you're carrying is clothes? Yes, it's easy to get wet while rowing. How can I not bring a set of clothes to change? Yan Zhika smiled. A rough man like you probably can't think of this. I have a leather coat, so I'm not afraid of getting wet. Lu Cheng wiped the water droplets on the short leather coat. Smart, right? Yan Zhika rolled her eyes at him and walked quickly to the storage area. Seeing her back disappear at the door of the female locker room, Lu Cheng was overflowing with joy. He couldn't help but walk back and forth, unable to stop. After all the things that happened today, the politeness between him and Yan Zhika had completely disappeared. Her horizontal and white lines were the proof. Although there was still a long way to go before they could hold hands, at least their relationship had improved. After returning to the school through an online taxi, the group of 10 people went to the famous Old Li restaurant in the nearby town. The most famous dish here was the white kidney beans stewed with pig's feet soup. The soup was milky white and fragrant. The soft white kidney beans were full of all kinds of essences. It was the most delicious and made the girls hungry. After dinner, Lu Cheng and the others strolled back to Songqing University. Along the way they talked about the embarrassing and stupid things they had done in the afternoon, which made them burst into laughter from time to time. When they arrived at the second building of the female dormitory, there was no awkward silence. Yan Zhika lived in the third building not far away. Lu Cheng sent her off and said goodbye to her in front of the gate. See you tomorrow for the special training. Lu Cheng smiled and waved. Yan Zhika smiled faintly and waved her hand. See you tomorrow. Seeing her enter the dormitory, Lu Cheng knew that she would be busy taking a shower. Instead of chasing after Kai Zhongming and the others, Lu Cheng strolled to the lake. I'm so happy today. If I don't exercise to vent, how can I sleep? In the woods by the lake, Wu Dong, a senior member of the martial arts club, was drinking and smoking with two friends he had met in the society. The new campus of Songqing University was only free to enter and leave on weekends, except for express delivery. Don't mention it recently. It's so damn depressing. Since Lin K came in, I can't stay in the martial arts club anymore. They don't even look at me. Wu Dong drank a mouthful of beer with a gloomy expression. A young man with a tattoo on his neck said, You and Brother Chin can't beat him? I don't dare. We're about to graduate. How can we find a job if we get punished? Wu Dong flattered himself. Suddenly, his eyes froze and he snorted. What's wrong? Another young man with a buzz cut followed Wu Dong's gaze and saw Lu Cheng jogging towards them with a smile on his face. A bastard from the martial arts club. Wu Dong said grumpily. The tattooed young man smiled. Hey, what a coincidence. How about we teach him a lesson? That's not a good idea. You can run away, but what about me? Wu Dong wanted to vent but didn't dare to. Don't worry. We know what we're doing. Just teach him a lesson. The buzz-cut young man had nowhere to vent his energy. He was eager to try. Students fight and don't get hurt. Who will tell the teacher for no reason? How about we go and you don't show up? P.S. It's Monday again. There's a chapter at midnight. Please recommend it. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.